Welcome back to episode 131 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here with Troy. What's going on, Troy?
Not a whole lot. Actually had tryouts for high school, so we have one more day of tryouts. We've already made our first round of, you can call them cuts, but it's just sending girls back to 15U that we feel would develop better there for next season or for this season. So we got one more scrimmage tomorrow, then the final rounds of decisions, and then practice on Friday, and it's on.
Did you make the team, Troy?
I did. I made the coaching staff.
Oh, wow. See, all the work you did this summer paid off.
Yep, exactly.
Well, I feel this is my 12th time recording today.
Yeah, you've had a long day.
It's been a long day. We've recorded a whole bunch of interviews that we have, including for tonight's show, where we talked to Tony Sirianni about the brand new 2022-23 SP Authentic release, and then another interview with Mikey Singer for our Expo preview show, which will be next Monday. So lots of kind of, I think, good stuff to look forward to and great guests that we have planned for the show. A lot to get into tonight. And real quickly, though, before we get started, just a quick reminder that the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast. That means we rely on support from listeners like yourself to, well, really help us cover our show expenses, produce more and hopefully better hockey card content. We've been trying to amp up our game over the last few months in that regard. And even in small ways, help grow and educate the hockey card hobby. You can join our out of $199 support level tier via Patreon. That also gets you access to our Hockey Cards Gong Show Discord server and a whole bunch of kind of fun stuff that we do in there. Very grateful for those that do choose to support us, again, for as little as $5 a month. It's very easy to do. You can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and at the top of the page, there's a Become a Patron link. Or if you want, you can go to the Patreon website, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. There's a link in the show description if you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify or another podcast app. Or if you happen to be watching us on YouTube, there's a link in the description there. And then finally, in our Instagram and TikTok profiles and our link tree, there's a link there as well. Troy, since the last show, we have 3 new patrons. Very, very thankful and grateful for Tutby888, David E., and John. Very, very much appreciate you joining our show. And I guess the one thing that I should have maybe mentioned a minute ago, made me think of it when I talked about our Patreon link in our YouTube description. Our YouTube has been growing like crazy, huh?
Yeah.
It's wild how fast it's taken off. We did kind of like an audio version of our podcast for the first year. Now I've moved to video. So if you want to see our beautiful faces and why all the ladies love Troy, go check us out on YouTube, and then please subscribe, because we're very petty people and we're easily rewarded by dopamine by seeing new subscribers. So that's our beg for you to subscribe to us on YouTube. You ready for the game plan, though?
On today's show, we begin with the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 31. Next, we have another installment of our Rookie Deep Dive series. Then it's off to Hobby News. We are then joined by Tony Sirianni from Upper Deck to talk about the recent release of 2022-23 SP Authentic. The show continues with new product releases, followed by our weekly preview of some of our favorite hockey cards in the current PWCC Weekly Auction. Finally, we end the show with personal pickups. Okay, Josh, that was a mouthful. Seems like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, busy show.
Busy show. All right, again, my brief primer, which turns into a rambling thing of me explaining what I'm doing here. Previously, we ran through the Hockey Writers' greatest NHL players to wear each number article list on our previous episodes. We are now looking at the runners-up, and players we go over have the title of almost greatest NHL player to wear the number that corresponds with our episode number. We are on episode 131. So I will be looking at the almost greatest player to wear number 31, using the same article as before, which is the NHL or the greatest NHL player to wear each number article by the Hockey Writers. But now I will be picking a player from the list to look at. Josh, here we go. The almost greatest NHL player to wear number 31 per the nominees in the Hockey Writers Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article, and selected by me, is Billy Smith. I'm super pumped about Billy Smith, and this is my favorite picture I think ever. I don't know what
these.
This was in his NHL.com top 100 player profile.
That's amazing.
And I know he did a Sports Illustrated cover, so I don't know if that was this or it's from this, but I love this picture. It's so awesome.
Is he drinking a juice box, or is that like
got a little could be a little wine, could be a little fruit punch. Just enjoying life in his sweet coho pads. But yes, the almost greatest NHL player number 31 is Billy Smith. Additional nominees at number 31 were Grant Fuhr and Curtis Joseph. As a reminder, the greatest story number 31 was Carey Price. So goalie centric on the 31.
Well, it makes sense. Kind of a goalie number, but that's a heck of a list.
Yeah.
Pujo, Grant Fuhr. So what was it that made you choose Billy Smith?
I just like Billy Smith better.
Okay.
Billy Smith, I'm a kindred spirit with Billy Smith.
Well, thank you for the scientific breakdown.
Hey, I put in there. It's chosen by me.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
I think, Billy Smith and Grant Fuhr are actually pretty. Their stats are pretty close to each other, cups and all that. So here we go. Billy Smith is a goalie, obviously from Perth, Ontario. Smith was drafted 59th overall in the 1970 NHL amateur draft by the Los Angeles Kings. Smith played in 679 regular season NHL games over an 18-season NHL career. Smith began his career playing only 5 games with the Los Angeles Kings. He was then drafted in the 1972 NHL expansion draft by the New York Islanders and went on to play the next 17 seasons of his career with the Islanders.
Okay.
His awards and accomplishments, he's in the Hall of Fame, Josh. 4-time Cup winner, 1-time Vezina winner, 1-time Jennings winner, 1-time Conn Smythe winner, 1-time NHL first All-Star team selection, 1-time NHL All-Star game selection, which kind of blew my mind. Named one of the greatest players in NHL history by NHL.com in 2017. He is number 86 on the Athletics Best 100 Players in Modern NHL History. His number 31 is retired by the New York Islanders. Over the course of his career in the regular season, Billy Smith had 305 wins, 233 losses, 105 ties with a 3.18 goals against average, a .89 save percentage, and 22 shutouts.
What do you make of the 3.18 goals against and .895 save percentage?
High scoring, different era, high scoring era. Okay. Wait till we get to the playoffs, though, and it's a whole nother story. And I didn't mention this a lot I might say it a little bit, but one thing you might look at and say, wow, he played 18 years, but he only had 305 wins and even 679 games played. A lot of his career, he split time in the Islanders. They had Chico Resch at some point, and I can't remember who the other goalie is. And Billy Smith has said many times he had no problem with that. He actually enjoyed having the camaraderie with another goalie that played a similar amount of time. He never played 80 or 70 games in a season like a lot of these guys did back then.
Gotcha.
All right, so as we mentioned, we had his regular season stats. Smith made the playoffs in 13 of his 18 NHL seasons, compiling 88 wins, 36 losses with a 2.72 goals against, a .905 save percentage, and 5 shutouts in 132 NHL playoff games played. For the best season of his NHL career, I'm going with his 1981-82 season, where Billy Smith capped the season with the Stanley Cup and Vezina Trophy. For the 81-82 season with the Islanders, Smith had 32 wins, 9 losses, 4 ties, a 2.97 goals against, and a .898 save percentage in 46 games played. In addition, in 13 of his 18 NHL seasons, Billy Smith had 20 or more penalty minutes. I absolutely love this. I talked about him last show when I talked about the career leaders in penalty minutes. Billy Smith's number 2. He's just absolutely awesome. I love this picture if you're watching on YouTube.
How small the pads are.
Oh, yeah. They're tiny, and these pads weigh more Probably like they're big leather pads. They get wet, they get heavy, but I
They
love the
look
old
like baby
waffle.
pads. Like his blocker that's the smallest blocker I've ever seen.
Yeah, isn't it crazy how just the equipment has evolved over the years? But again, great picture if you're watching on YouTube. From his NHL profile, Smith was a battler who never gave up on a shot and would never permit an opponent or a teammate to take liberties with him. His concept of self-defense included preemptive strikes, and it didn't matter if the roughest player or the best player in the league ventured too close to his crease, or his team's top scorer shot too high during practice. They were all candidates to get whacked with Smith's big wooden coho stick, which you can see in the picture I'm showing on screen.
Oh yeah.
Billy Smith was not warm and fuzzy. He was fairly disliked throughout the NHL, but was a hero to Islanders fans. Smith battled for them, for his teammates, with whom he occasionally sparred verbally and physically, and for himself, and made no apologies about it. And if you wonder what the story is, on one of the well-known stories about fighting with his teammates is Mike Bossy took a shot that went high on Smith, and Smith literally charged him and chased him until he was tackled by a couple of his teammates to maybe not go kill the guy that can score the most goals for your team. But Billy Smith definitely did things his own way. We'll get more into that about his I don't know what you want to call it, his style. So after his playing career, Smith became the goalie coach for the Islanders and then later the goalie coach for the Florida Panthers until he retired from coaching in the year 2000. I love this picture. It's just a great old picture of Billy Smith. But yeah, I remember as a kid, he was definitely one of my favorites. I remember Billy Smith because I think the North Stars, I was really young, lost to the Islanders in the Stanley Cup. I can't remember. It was like 81-ish maybe. I think they were in it and they lost. But Billy Smith, great goalie, character in himself. There's a lot of really good stories about him out there if you go searching for him.
So it's weird that you remember a Minnesota sports team losing.
Yeah, losing. Yeah.
It's like that never happens.
For our fun and interesting facts, we got a lot of them. Billy Smith was the first and only player to ever wear number 31 for the New York Islanders. I just thought that was interesting.
That's cool.
Wore it and got retired. Nicknamed Batlin' Billy Smith, also known as Hatchet Man. Smith was known for his temper and his frequent use of his stick and blocker on players that got too close to his crease, as I kind of mentioned before. A little more on Billy Smith that I really enjoy was this paragraph. This is from his NHL Top 100 player and NHL history profile. He piled up penalty minutes, unusual for a goaltender, and was proud of it. He steadfastly refused to shake hands with opponents after playoff series. He'd leave the top few inches of his stick shaft untaped, weaponizing the butt end. When the Philadelphia Flyers trotted out Kate Smith, the grand dame of American song, to deliver God Bless America from center ice before a 1975 playoff game 7 at the Spectrum, Smith groused, "I should have skated over her wires." I love Billy Smith, and pardon my language, I wish more players were full of piss and vinegar like him. I absolutely love it. In high school hockey, all the players know each other now from every other team. They play in 3 other summer leagues. They're all best friends, which great. If some people love that, I don't. I think it's taken out a little bit of the edge and competitiveness that we see. So I want more Billy Smiths, dang it, in high school hockey and hockey in general.
Even the NHL guys, they all go out to dinner together when the other team comes into town. And
I just, the money's so much. Like, the money talks. You don't want to injure anyone too bad. But then you got Charlie McAvoy, who got suspended now for 4 games after that hit. Billy Smith, read about him. It's fantastic. I love guys like this, refusing to shake hands, like just angry. I love it. Billy Smith was the first goalie in NHL history to be credited with a goal. So there was, in the short story, there was a shot. It hit off Billy Smith's chest pad, went in the corner. There was a delayed penalty. The other team got the puck. The delayed penalty on the Islanders. Other team gets the puck. Guy throws it back to the point. No one was there. It went all the way into the net. And since Billy Smith was the last one to touch it, he got the goal.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. Smith was the first goalie to win the Stanley Cup wearing the helmet and cage combination mask rather than the fiberglass mask, which had been the standard from 1959 when it was introduced by Jacques Plante until the early 1980s. Smith wore a fiberglass mask early in his career, but switched to the helmet and cage in 1978. As you can see in the picture on YouTube, if you're watching, there's the helmet and cage. But I think I've seen cards with him I wonder, is SP Signature Edition? I think he might have the fiberglass one on, if I remember right. I can't remember.
They tended to go with like more rookie year photos for that product. So that would make sense.
Here's a great one. Billy Smith was the only goalie inducted into the Hall of Fame in the 1990s.
That's mind-blowing.
Is that mind-blowing?
You've completely outdone yourself. Troy, this is your best nugget ever. This nugget is going to put you into the Hockey Card Podcasters Hall of Fame.
Well, you read enough articles, you'll find it. It's all out there. Okay, Billy Smith, his rookie card, 1973-74 OPC, number 142. Look, if you're watching on YouTube, young, dapper Billy Smith. PSA 10 pop on this card, Josh, is 2.
Yeah.
Gem rate, 0.5%. I feel like I'm going down farther and farther each show. I can't remember what the last one was, but there was a pretty low number. I could not find any public sales of the PSA 10 copy of this card. The Topps version of this card has a PSA 10 pop of 1 with a gem rate of 0.3%. However, the last sale of that card I did find was on November 5th, 2014 for a measly $657.25 US via eBay. The OPC does have a PSA 9 pop of 31. And the last sale of a PSA 9 copy of the OPC I could find was on March 27th of last year via PWCC for $2,640 US dollars. I have to believe if that 10 ever came up, it's 5 figures probably.
Oh, yeah. I think for sure. A lot of people will say the 1973 set design might be the worst.
It might be.
Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Look at this. Like, what? I don't know what's going on.
It reminds me of like more of like a 70s movie set, like a Star Wars set, or like just like the vibe of the card.
Yeah.
It's very weird. It doesn't feel like a sports card to me.
Yeah. And like if you're photography too, if you're doing Billy Smith, why do you have this guy in the picture? You couldn't find one without another guy basically almost skating in front of him.
Yeah. Crazy. All right, Troy, great job. Billy Smith learned a lot. I cannot believe there's one goalie inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame in the entire decade of the 1990s. That's pretty nutty. Well, it's time for another edition of Rookie Deep Dive, Troy. We're still focusing on rookies from the 2023-24 Series 1 that had their Young Guns debut. The goal, of course, is to learn more about these guys as we're all ripping the product and chasing new rookie cards. I think we've done like 5 so far. So here's the Series 1 rookies that we've covered to date. Matthew Nyes, episode 80. Luke Hughes, episode 84. Devin Levi, episode 125. Matthew Coronado, episode 127. And then Dustin Wolf, episode 129. I know one day I'm just going to read endless rookie names just to push you over the ledge, make you quit the show. So that gave us another crop of rookies to potentially deep dive this week. And what we typically do is we'll throw out an Instagram poll, give you guys the option of the player that you want us to dig into a little bit more. And our candidates this week were Ridly Greig, Brock Faber, Yaroslav Askarov, and Simon Edvinsson. And not surprising to me, Troy, Ridly Greig with a solid win.
Solid win.
I mean, more than 41 or about 41% of the vote was the winner chicken dinner for this edition of Rookie Deep Dive. Brock Faber, I think, is like second or third time coming in second. Proverbial number 2.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And then Askarov at 21% and Simon Edvinsson at 14%. So let's dig in and learn a little bit more about Ridly Greig. So first of all, we need to talk about...
now we're actually going to go into the spelling and pronunciation of names.
Near and dear to our heart, spelling and pronunciation. The pronunciation is super easy. It's Ridly Greig. The problem is the spelling.
Yeah.
And I think his parents like tried very hard to be creative when they named young Ridley their son here. So it's spelled Ridly, which Ridley you would think, well, would be Ridley. And then Greg is spelled, no, not that they control this if it's their last name,
Yeah.
Greig.
Gotcha.
And so as I'm coming into this, I had to spend a half an hour first, like navigating the pronunciation minefield because, like instantly people, when we very rarely, and by rarely, I mean every show, make pronunciation mistakes, are on us right away. So I'm on YouTube, I'm looking up ESPN highlights, and sure enough, it's Ridly Greig. So, hey, much to do about nothing, even though it's spelled all funny, Ridly Greig. And so I've now said it like 50 times, and I'm sure some Sen superfan is going to correct me. But that's what ESPN said, so I'm going
Yeah.
with it. Greg is 21 years young from Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. He's 6'1", 183 pounds, a left-handed shot center. Is there some sort of advantage to being a left-hand shot center versus a right-hand shot center, or does it not matter?
Oh, I don't
Sure.
think it matters.
Okay. Just curious. He was the 28th overall selection, Troy, in the 2020 NHL entry draft by your Ottawa Senators. Ridley comes from a hockey lineage. His father, Mark, which is spelled normally, by the way, in case you're all wondering, played 9 seasons in the NHL for the Whalers, Maple Leafs, Calgary Flames, and Flyers. Ridley also has 2 sisters that play hockey at Wisconsin. Not sure why they would do that.
Yeah.
And this was off to such a great start with Ridley too, Troy. You know what they say here in Minnesota? Better dead than red.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that. Biggest thing to know about Ridly Greig is that he does have a decent history of scoring goals, which does make him, I think, a little more interesting to me, having gone through the exercise of researching him. In parts of 5 WHL seasons with one of your favorite teams, you talk about them all the time, the Brandon Wheat Kings.
There we go.
Greg scored 76 goals, added 115 assists for 191 points in 183 games played. So in his WHL career, that's 0.42 goals per game and 1.04 points per game. Then he spent parts of 2 AHL seasons with the Belleville Senators, and he's put up 16 goals, 16 assists for 32 points in 46 games played. Then last spring, he scored 2 goals, added 7 assists for 9 points in 20 games played in his first real NHL experience with the Senators, which is why he was on the ice last season and hence why he was eligible to be a 2023-24 Series 1 Young Gun. Now, what I think's kind of piqued people's interest further is so far this year, he's off to a pretty good start. He's got 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points in 8 games played. And he's still in that kind of Calder eligible because he only played 20 games last year. And so he appears to be making the most of his shot so far in the NHL. Now, one of the things we often do in these rookie deep dives is try to go look at their scouting report for when they were drafted and see what people say. And I actually found from one of our favorite sources, The Athletic, this really great article, Troy, from Scott Wheeler, who's a writer that we really appreciate. And he had done an article last fall about prospects that he says he was wrong about and lists a number of them. And Greg was one of those prospects he lists. So I'm going to read a couple excerpts from the article that I think give you a really good feel of what Greg is all about as a hockey player. So again, this is from Scott Wheeler in The Athletic. He says, many scouts have fallen in love with his fiery, tenacious style. Greg never looks like he's disengaged and keeps his feet moving to play a physical style, though that fiery nature can sometimes get him into trouble. I like his skill enough. He can play in traffic without looking panicked or rushed. He's got a decent wrist shot, even if I wouldn't say he's a natural scorer. And he'll surprise defenders every so often with a deft pass. But he hasn't consistently shown me the dynamism.
Wow.
That's a tough word. I typically expect out of the first round talent. I'll concede Greg is a late birthday player who never lacks effort and should get the most out of himself, though, which could help him climb up further on my board in 2020, 2021. So Wheeler had him ranked the 64th best prospect going into that 2020 draft, whereas we know Greg went 28th overall. So that was Wheeler's sort of initial scouting report from the draft. And now a couple years later, he comes back and says, from a stylistic point of view, I think the evaluation holds up really well today. That gets him where he was likely to be picked. and the potential for him to climb my rankings right. But there's no question he's progressed almost exactly how you would have hoped since. There's no question either about which range he'd go in a do-over. The answer is where the Sens picked him and not where I had him slotted. So he's acknowledging that whereas he had him at 64th and Greg was drafted at 28th, that he's saying that he really was a first round talent. So yeah, it seems like a kind of a fiery, feisty guy, plays around the net. And
what jumps out to me is that in Wheeler's thing, he talks about the late birthday. I don't think I've really seen a scout or a article talk about that. And I think that's probably due. I don't know if you've read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, he actually goes into this where more NHL hockey players are born through January through March than like October through December. And
because they're the oldest in their
and they're always the old, and it's pretty interesting that Wheeler. I think that's probably what he's getting at. Kind of picked up on that.
You know what's funny about that? I was listening to Spit and Chicklets today, and they had a Logan Cooley interview.
Yeah,
and he mentioned something about late birthdays too.
It's becoming an epidemic. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't want to call it. It's probably not that, but I've seen way too many examples of parents holding their kids back starting school because it will give them an advantage in sports. And I just get sad.
Yeah. Ridly Greig Troy is a 2023-24 Young Guns out in the newly released Series 1 set. His base Young Guns currently selling for about $7.50 raw. Biggest sale so far is $652 US dollars for a Young Guns high gloss sold on October 27th. So it's a little bit more about Ridly Greig, who is sitting near the top of early on the rookie scoring leaders. Need to make a quick mention for Gongshow partner and sponsor Slab Sharks. Thank you to them for your support of our show. Reminder that their biggest auction to date with over 1,500 items ends tonight. So be sure to head to slabsharks.com for a link to the auction, place your bids. And we kind of called it the Jack Hughes auction.
Mm-hmm.
If you're maybe listening a day or two late, no worries. Once one auction ends, the next one begins. And they do seem to be getting bigger and bigger and better each week. And if you happen to be a Canadian hockey cards collector and are looking to move some cards for cash or maybe cash out on a hot player that you've invested in, like Jack Hughes, then Troy and I would recommend considering Slab Sharks for their eBay consignment services. And you may be asking, Troy, why Slab Sharks? And what Troy would tell you as well, they make it super easy for you to sell your cards on eBay because they do all the work. You just send them to Slab Sharks or drop them off at trade shows like the Expo coming up next week. And they'll take awesome photos of your cards. They'll do all the listings, answer buyer questions, hunt down payment, ship your cards to both the US and Canada. And nobody in the US likes to ship to Canada, and nobody in the Canada likes to ship to the US. So if you're Canadian, why not have Slab Sharks do it for you? Plus, and this is the biggest thing, they handle any post-sale issues. Also, remember, too, there's a 98% payout special on all Connor Bedard cards through next June, which is a crazy good deal because why pay 13% when you can pay 2% through Slab Sharks when selling your Connor Bedard card? I think as long as they go for more than $50, and I don't think there is such thing as a Connor Bedard card under $50. So for complete consignment information, including payout rates, and to start consigning your hockey cards with Slab Sharks, again, head to slabsharks.com. Happy news!
Happy news.
Big moment, Troy.
I know.
It's very emotional. We can pause if we need to, if we can't keep it together. Huge moment for our show. Pretty decent moment, I guess, for Ryan O'Reilly, too. The Nashville Predators forward, Troy, played his 1,000th NHL game on Tuesday night. Predators took on the Vancouver Canucks. They did lose, unfortunately, to the Nucks, 5-2. Our guy Elias Pettersson with a hattie in the game last night. But O'Reilly did record an assist in his 1,000th game. Okay, so Troy, here's a question for you. What would you guess is the bigger total? Ryan O'Reilly's NHL games played, which we know is 1,000, or packs that we've personally pulled where Ryan O'Reilly hit enough?
Probably packs pulled as O'Reilly as our hit. We always get O'Reilly'd.
I always get O'Reilly. And if you're new to the show, that's kind of our kind of running joke, is for some cosmic hockey god driven reason, always, and I mean always, we pull Ryan O'Reilly hits out of boxes. It's just our guy, and you know, we call it, of course, getting O'Reilly'd. Now, you got to tell me
Here we
the
go.
story of this. So if you're watching on YouTube, there's a Ryan O'Reilly Gongshow GIF. Does this mean we've made it?
Yeah, so basically what happened is we were talking about O'Reilly in the Discord, and someone put in there about the 1,000th game. So then I decided, well, I'm going to look at GIFs, and I don't know why I thought about doing this. I'm going to look at Ryan O'Reilly, and maybe I'll find something. And this one literally pops up, and I'm looking at this. I'm like, no way! Like the
Did you
GIF
poop your
shows.
pants?
I was just like, this has. Like, no one just randomly created this. This has to be from what we said. Not to like get a big head or anything, but how many people have you ever heard saying you got O'Reilly? And so I find this gift. It shows O'Reilly. It zooms in on him, and at the bottom it says you got O'Reilly. So I posted in our Discord, and then one of our members is Irish Fires Collector, and he's like, "Yeah, I created that. That's awesome. It's in there." And I put the tags on it, like, "Oh, getting O'Reilly to Hockey Cards Gongshow." So he actually created it, and then we found it unknown to us, but it's just hilarious. I love it. Thank you for creating it. It's perfect.
Yeah. So my favorite thing about this whole O'Reilly and getting O'Reilly'd sort of thing is I'll just buy like a random hockey card on eBay. And I don't have like a Gong Show eBay account, but I don't know, like sometime, and then I'll get the card in the mail and it'll come with 10 Ryan O'Reilly.
O'Reilly's. I was just looking through my cards here, and I remember we got this one from I think a listener sent us this guy, the O'Reilly purple, because I'm creating like I need to get like 2 more cases because I'm gonna have a case of like Wild, my Pekkas, my other ones, but then I'm doing like an O'Reilly or cards kind of the people that send us, but I want like an O'Reilly row and stuff because it's just hilarious. And again, you don't have to send us anything. I'm putting him in a case because I love it, but you don't send us anything. Listen, watch, do the Patreon if you feel like you want to support us more. But there we go.
He should probably be the first NHL player we have on our show, right?
We should try. That'd be awesome.
It would only be fitting. The 32-year-old O'Reilly is from Clinton, Ontario, is in his 15th NHL season. He's played for the Avalanche, Sabres, probably most notably the Blues, of course, where he won a cup. And then last year the Maple Leafs, and now he's in Nashville. So Troy, Ryan O'Reilly is a 2009 Young Guns.
Mm-hmm.
PSA 10 has a pop of only 35 with a 23% gem rate. Last sale was on March 18th for $150. I kind of think we have to own this card.
Yeah, we should. It's got to pop up in the PWCC or Slab Sharks at some point. Well, we're gonna get it.
Maybe I was thinking. I was trying to think like how we could use it. Like it could be like our traveling fantasy hockey trophy or something like that, right? So yeah, congratulations to Ryan O'Reilly. Obviously, we have a special place in our hearts for him, given our connection to the show, and we get his generally worthless hits in every box that we open. So had to definitely probably biggest story of the whole show right there.
Yeah.
Only other quick thing in hobby news, Troy, is PSA kind of announced something cool. They're doing a series of holiday grading specials where it's kind of like a scratch off where they're revealing every few days. It's like the 12 days of Christmas, but it's November 1st. So it's a cool concept nonetheless. And they just released their first grading special that dropped today, November 1st. I think goes through the 5th. So basically what they did is their express service level, that's 5 days on average for cards with maximum declared value of 2,500, where the normal price is 150 US. It's now 99 US. So
it's only for today then, like a 1-day deal.
The offer expires November 5th.
Oh, duh, it's right here. Boy, make that bigger, please, PSA. Yeah. I'm zoomed in and it's still small.
That's a pretty significant discount, though, right? It's like third off or something like that. So if you want to get a big card graded or bigger card, I guess under $2,500 back for the holidays, you might want to take advantage of that. And then I think once this offer expires, then a next one will be revealed.
Yeah, someone change their system clock and see if it updates. Back in the old days of the internet, you used to be able to either go into the JavaScript and change dates, and that stuff would show you stuff or break. But Not anymore. They should be smarter than that.
All right, we're going to switch gears. A huge release day in the hockey hobbyist today. 2022-23 SP Authentic hit mailboxes, hit store shelves at LCSs today. Just a very fun day in general in the hobby. And given it's another big release, we did reach out to our friends at Upper Deck and Tony Sirianni, who is the product manager for SP Authentic, to get the scoop and all the inside information on this year's product. So I had the chance to talk to him earlier today while Troy was coaching hockey and taking another small step to a Minnesota State hockey title for the Minnetonka Skippers.
Yep.
So we're going to go ahead and roll the interview now with Tony, and I hope you all enjoy. All right, we're pleased to have back on the show Tony Sirianni, who is you're a senior product manager. Is that your title at Upper Deck?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. With us, and SP Authentic is one of the sets, of course, that you work on, and it's a big day in the hockey world. One of the key sets of the year that comes out, and so thank you for taking some time to talk about this new release with us. So the first question I have for you, Tony, is what do you do on SP Authentic release day? Do you go look at breaks? Do you get feedback from card shops? What's this day like for you?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I still have my day-to-day responsibilities, but it's always exciting when a product like this comes out. So yeah, I'm watching eBay as soon as I'm awake. Even last night after midnight, I'm starting to watch. I'll start looking at Cardboard Connection and other sites to see if reviews are up. And then, this evening I'll spend some time like hopping into some breaks and watching some guys bust the product. So, it'll be kind of an all day thing. And obviously it'll continue into the weekend as well, as I'm sure a lot more of the product gets ripped over the weekend.
Yeah. So what have you observed so far? Like what's been the feedback that you've gotten from people?
I've seen positive. People seem to like the way, we reconfigured it last year with still retaining the long-standing sort of requirements of, at least 2 autos per box, one of them being a Future Watch rookie. Last year was sort of a big change. Obviously, the box looked different, a little smaller, less packs, but more cards per. So I think, year 2, it's now sort of, moving in this direction, and I've seen positive things. I have heard there's some bounty codes stuff going on, but I've been assured that it will get worked out.
Okay.
Hopefully by the end of today. But everything on our end's lining up. So we'll hopefully have that working properly for you guys as soon as possible. But everything else seems to be, the config looks right. The cards themselves look beautiful. So it's been a good one so far.
As a product manager, is that kind of a sigh of relief moment for you when you know that you get through those initial like first half a day or something like that, and there's no major problems with the release?
Yeah, we're always watching. And that it's huge sigh of relief when things are delivered the way we anticipate and the way we've built the products to be delivering. So it's always like, you can rest easy that collector experience is what we intended it to be. So it's a huge sigh of relief.
So how long have you personally worked on SP Authentic now?
Oh, wow. That's going back a ways. So my first year would have been 16, 17. I worked on the Austin Matthews, Marner, SP Authentic. And I've been working on that one ever since. So it's been about 7-8 years that I've been handling this brand. So time flies. Can't believe it's been that long. A lot of different rookie classes and different deliveries, obviously, but the product's always will have its Future Watch and its autograph content with hard signed and everything like that. So we know what the important aspects are that need to stay in there. But it's been a fun one. I look forward to working on it every year. I look forward to it releasing and you guys seeing the product. So it's one that I definitely hold near and dear for sure.
And if you had to describe SP Authentic to someone, what would you say are kind of like the core like tenets or foundational elements of the set?
Future Watch, really. Hard signed autographs. Those are really the tenets of the set. I mean, the look of the set always has sort of a unique, sort of clean, minimalistic aesthetic, but also sort of a futuristic, abstract lineage to it. So it's fun to kind of balance those two. But I would say, sort of the line look in that sense, there's a lot of spot UV coverage where, certain parts of the card will have like sort of a, a dull or flatter feel, where other parts will have the shiny UV feel like the player and other popped out. That really goes along with hard signed autographs, right? Because you need a clean surface and area for them to adhere their hard signed auto and everything. So those are things that you are kind of the mainstays. But from a content perspective, it's always going to be about the future watch. That's really that's the main card that everyone's looking for. And that's why we make sure to at least deliver one of those per box still to this day.
It's funny how when you describe the design, it was very similar to how I guess I look at the aesthetic of the set. And I kind of think of like a modern art museum.
Yeah.
That sort of vibe where you have a lot of white space and very clean, but yet have that modern tinge to it, or
exactly
overall feel to the card.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned too, it is a very auto-driven product, and with those hard signed autos, do you have any idea how many total autographs appear in an SP Authentic set?
A lot. I can't. I wish I could tell you exact numbers, but as you guys are aware, you guys are intelligent collectors and savvy collectors, and when products get delayed and take a little bit longer, that's really a big reason why a lot of the time is we're waiting for autograph collection, making sure we have enough to hit our requirements. And SPA is a daunting task, but it's something that our team is prepared for and ready to make sure it adheres to what we're trying to deliver. So it's a lot. That's probably the closest a true number I could give you, but it's certainly one of our higher print run or higher autograph run, I should say, products in that sense, right? When you're guaranteeing, a minimum of 2 per box, that's extrapolated across, case runs of the set. It's a lot. So we have a great talent acquisitions team, our coordinator team, everybody that works on these products and sort of strategizes how to hit those numbers. They put a lot of work in, and they deserve a lot of credit. And again, this is a product that historically has had redemptions in it and has maybe not had the hard signed auto of certain rookies, whereas we've had to pack out an unsigned version. And that's decisions we've had to make, but we're happy and proud to say that this version that just came out today has 0 redemptions and has every key rookie. Every rookie you'd want is in this product hard signed, and there's no concerns of waiting for redemptions for those rookies. So took a little while to get there, but I think anyone who opens it is going to be very pleased with the fact that it's redemption free and it contains all the key guys that you're looking for.
Yeah, I would think that's a huge win. I mean, it's way better for the collector because you're getting the autos in the box. And then just from a logistics and customer service perspective, it saves a whole bunch of time and hassle not having to send, especially in a Future Watch auto at a $9.99, where there's a 1,000 literally redemptions that have to be fulfilled, and you want to get those to those people in a timely manner. And I just want to go back to the total autos thing, because as you're talking, I'm kind of doing the math in my head, and I'm thinking, wow, if there's 100 rookies on the checklist, there's 100,000 autos just out of Future Watch autos. And you said one of the sets with the highest print runs there can't be a set that has more autos than this, is there?
It's up there. I mean, I don't work directly on the cup, but that product may give it a run for its money, but overall, that's a smaller box, right? There's less cards. It's a 1-pack thing, but that adds up pretty quick. But I think it's fair to say SPA is at the top, if not the top, from an auto collection standpoint.
It also has one of the longest heritages, or maybe outside of flagship, maybe, because I think back to Upper Deck, and you have 1990 Upper Deck, and that's kind of where the Young Guns debuted, but it was maybe a year or 2 after that SP Authentic came around. And so is it really kind of, again, going back to that idea of heritage, is it has to be one of your longest tenured hockey products at Upper Deck?
It's up there. It's certainly up there. From a hockey perspective, it's probably one of the longest running. That Black Diamond flagship. O-Pee-Chee had some time off in between for a few years, but that one's obviously a long running between us and other companies that have created it. But Yeah, I think, we know how important that is, and we love that. I mean, Upper Deck, we stand behind our brands and we support our brands, and we know that collectors, year over year, just as they're collecting flagship, they know SP Authentic is one of the key sets to collect every year. And the Future Watch Rookie is right up there with the Young Gun. If you're a player collector or just a hockey enthusiast or a collector in general, like, that the Future Watch is definitely one of the top rookies that you're going to want to go after every year. So yeah, it's incredible to see the lineage that this thing has had, how many different years, how many different rookie classes. So yeah, it is certainly one of our longest standing hockey brands.
Well, and the Future Watch Auto is so unique. I can't really think of another card that's numbered to 999 that has more value in all of sports cards.
Sure. Yeah, and that was something that was set in place years before my time with the company, but definitely something we want to honor, and continue to do that. And yeah, I think collectors enjoy that there is 999 copies of each of these cards out there. So even though it feels like a big number in the grand scheme of things, it is still very finite. It is still very limited. And again, the values and everything you see definitely back that up. So again, I think, like you mentioned, it being a longstanding brand, a longstanding key rookie, just helps build the equity year over year, the longer it continues. And every rookie sort of, every rookie you're looking for ideally has a Future Watch rookie card. So yeah, that's kind of the drive there. And yeah, we definitely don't want to let the collector down in any aspect with that. So you won't see that card going anywhere. These are one of our top rookies. We absolutely understand that.
How long does it take to put together a set like this with all those literally hundreds of thousands of autos? I mean, it must take a while.
Yeah. I mean, ideally we have it out, within, a little over a year or so, but things do slip, especially when you're counting on, athletes truly hard signing every card and getting every card printed and sent to the right place with our rep in hand to be able to get them signed. So yeah, it's, ideally a year, but it has taken us longer. But I do see us getting closer to, next year with Bedard, or I should say this year with Bedard, with next year's version of the product. I'm, confident that we can get something out, hopefully at least by the end of this year. But yeah, it takes a while. Like, I started working on this one, probably closer to almost 2 years ago at this point.
Wow.
Kind of thinking back on it. Yeah, it was a long one for sure. But ideally, yeah, that can be shortened to hopefully, closer to like a year and a half or so.
Did I ask you this last time? I can't remember if I did, and I apologize if I did, but do we know what SP stands for?
Yeah, you might have asked me, and I've been inquiring more and more. I keep hearing it's super premium, is what I've always heard internally.
Okay.
That's what it stands for. But I've heard different things out there as well, but that's the one that comes up the most, is it's super premium.
To me, that's really funny and actually kind of awesome that you guys aren't even really sure what it stands for.
I'm sure there are people that, were around back then that maybe have had insight as to when they were coming up with the name. But yeah, super premium is the consensus that I've heard from sort of the old guard that was involved back then that I've talked to. So yeah.
Well, that makes sense if you go back, because I think for early SP, a lot of people think of like the Derek Jeter rookie.
Yep.
That's worth a ton of money.
Course.
And
Absolutely.
Was going back to, was that 92 or 93? I can't remember which one it was, but
yeah, 93. Yeah, exactly.
93. So the card was very much premium as far as like stock and print technology.
Yeah, basically all foil. The whole front of that card was covered in foil, right? I mean, yeah, beautiful, iconic card for sure. Yeah, but that's what started. Baseball, super premium was what they were going for with that. So yeah, it's taken on a life of its own with game used and authentic and legends and a few other things along the way, SPX. But yeah, it definitely has sort of become its own thing as we've gone.
Do you work on any of the other kind of SP brand tree or any of the other products, or is SP Authentic the lone one that you kind of work on?
I did work on SPX for a number of years. It has since moved on to some other product managers that have done some really great things with it. I really loved this year's SPX that product manager Patrick Smith worked on that version. I believe you guys have met him before. Yep. But he came up with some really great ideas. He's a diehard collector, lifelong collector, and he's got his, he has lots of feelings about older SPX and wanting to sort of reinvigorate sort of the look and feel. So even the things that he has in the works going forward on that product, I think are going to be very exciting for you guys to see down the road.
So for all the guys that work on the various SP brands, is there like a continuity that you all have to make sure that you adhere to, or do they all kind of live on their own?
I think, like I mentioned, like they've all sort of taken on a life of their own. Like SPX has its certain attributes and key cards, and SP Game Used obviously has as well. So we all try to discuss. We don't want to step on each other's toes. We all are here collaborating and communicating constantly as, what are we thinking for next year's set? What's the new content? And again, we don't want to be redundant. We want to make sure every set has its own look and feel and its own identity. So yeah, there's a lot of communication, but as far as within themselves, the person working on SP Game Used or the person working on SPX can really, make it their own, make some decisions that will affect only that brand. But we do try to kind of look at it as like from a global perspective too, and just make sure you're not, rocking the boat too much or adjusting the product that it doesn't feel like it's supposed to. So yeah, that's a good question. But yeah, it's a balance. Like a lot of this, it's definitely a balance of new and old. What's expected, what can we do to shake things up, and if it's very delicate, like as you are well aware, if you adjust things too much or move the wrong lever and remove content or make something more difficult to pull than it should be, or vice versa, that can have consequences. So we all take it serious, and we all make sure we talk through everything to make sure that we're doing right by all of our unique brands.
So I got a question too that I'm just curious as your role as a product manager, and it kind of ties into this release, and we're going to kind of get into the nuts and bolts of the new 2022-23 SP Authentic really soon. But
Sure.
to a large degree, the success of these releases are dependent on the rookie class, right? And especially, and this rookie class is okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's subject to opinion, but by and large, it's not anything like the next year's class is going to be with 2023-24. And
Sure.
so is it any at all like frustrating to you that you could produce a set and execute perfectly and have the most beautiful card designs, but it's a little bit of a, maybe call it a mediocre rookie class, where like in 2023 you could have basically a piece of cardboard and draw a Connor Bedard stick figure on it and have him sign it, and from a secondary market perspective, it's like a guaranteed win. And so it's like your success is so tied into really who the players are in that individual rookie class.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly part of the whole thing, right? The rookies really do drive it. We're aware of that, but we do know that the content being there, the thematics of the set, the design of the set, all of that will help. But yeah, I've been here, 8 years. I've seen some really good classes. I've seen some mediocre classes. So, you do the best you can with it, but, I guess, obviously it being, a little bit late, that's tough. You always want to kind of capitalize on the rookie class while they're skating, while they're playing. Yeah. But on the other side of that, there could be somebody who comes out of here in year 2 and really takes off and really makes that ascension into becoming a star player. And then that makes the product that much more desirable. Like, to me, looking back on it, I can't think of a class where there isn't anybody that has made an impact at this point. And it might take a few years. We've been lucky in some years where a holdover rookie might really, carry things for a while that we didn't expect. But it always works itself out in the end that there's someone or several players that are helping to sort of drive this set, so even though it doesn't look like the hottest, rookie class maybe at the moment, like there's always potential for a few of these guys or a number of them to make the jump. So hockey's a tough sport. And then we see it more and more, like it's not really driven by rookies on the ice. The hobby is driven by it, but hockey it's a man's game. And a lot of these guys are coming in so young and undersized. They haven't bulked up yet. And it takes a couple years to get up to speed, to get up to the strength. Like, I love to see, Bedard out there holding his own, but, it's no coincidence that Marchand is giving him the business, and he's probably stronger, and he's older, and he's bigger. And, that's just something you got to work through as a rookie. But, there's always the potential. I think that's fun with all of this, with this whole hobby is, maybe this year the class isn't, lighting the world on fire, but next season, who knows what could happen. There could be somebody who really gets traded to the right situation, just finally matures and figures it all out, and things start clicking. And then that set is that much more desirable, and people are looking for it. So yeah, I've seen it all, as far as from the hype being there, living up to the hype being there, not so much, other guys stepping up around them, and sort of they become the key guy to chase that year. So yeah, I mean, obviously we are all rooting for Shane Wright. We all are rooting for some of these guys to make the jump, and these guys have talent. There's no question about it, but you need the opportunity, and, at the right time, hopefully that it'll be there. And, that's a guy, right now who's, in these packs, but at the same time, we know that Beniers is the guy, and Boldy's the guy, and Slafkovsky's still got, a lot of potential. So there's a number of guys in here that will help. Obviously, Owen Powers and these younger guys who get drafted and maybe go back to school for a year or two, and then they finally make the jump. And, I just think I don't get frustrated with it, to answer your original question. I try to be patient and just watch to kind of see how it unfolds. And our coordinator team are really the guys that, especially early in the year, are really going, they're scouring every game available, every rookie they can find, and keeping an eye on these guys to build out the best checklist. Because, there's been plenty of guys that maybe they're not the hot young gun or the hot future watch, but down the road, the Matt Murrays of the world come to mind, guys like that who just, come out of nowhere, and their young gun is, sort of an extended young gun, or back then it was even in SP Authentic. But there's been a number of guys like that over the years, and that's not going to stop. So if you just have to be patient and do your homework. True hockey fans really are keyed in on the guys that they should be looking for. But I think there's a lot of value there in 22, 23. And again, the fact that they're all in there, everybody's live. I just think it just makes it that much more of a fun experience.
Well, and ultimately, some of that stuff is out of your control anyway. So rule in life is don't stress out about things you can't control, because
it's good advice for any part of your life if you can. It's easier said than done, but absolutely. There's things you can't control. There's things you can, and you do the best you can with what you can control. Absolutely.
So 2022-23 is out just 6 months after the 2021 release. So I know you've been working on it on a while, but it is a pretty quick turnaround. And
which I think is a good sign for 23-24, right? Like, we're doing everything in our power to catch up. So that's absolutely right. 6 months apart.
So then, just to cover our bases, I think you've, if not answered this directly, already alluded to it, but that because of the quick turnaround here, that puts you in a pretty good position then for 2023-24 to be reasonably on schedule. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing everything we can, and everything, like we mentioned, that we can control, we're doing our best to do so. But yeah, exactly. You're on the right track with that. Exactly right.
And we've already talked about that there's a long heritage with the SP Authentic product. It's got a very kind of defined and long-standing aesthetic, like look and feel, and that kind of modern yet museum sort of vibe. And so when you're building a set like this and you're having those initial first meetings with the designers, how do you go about kind of getting to just the overall sort of design theme for this release?
Well, that, again, like it kind of going back to what you're mentioning about the long-standing, sort of tradition of the brand. Like, the nice thing about a set like this is the design team is they're always getting ahead of it, sort of thinking, what am I thinking the SPA will look like this year? Unless I go back to them and say, hey, we're going to blow up the entire look of this line, we're going to change the brand completely, new identity. And that's certainly not the case with an SP Authentic. Like we love the identity it has. I think collectors would agree. So in that sense, it's really just seeing what the designer can come up with based on the aesthetic we've established and sort of going from there. So it's a fun one for them. It's a fun one for the product manager in my case, because you have a long history of cards, and we'll do that. Like we'll literally have the designer print out or mock up and something that we can literally look at every design from every year of this set. Like we'll look at the whole lineage of the base or the whole lineage of Future Watch, and we'll look at things we like, things we didn't like, maybe borrow some bits and pieces here or come up with something completely different. But that's the nice thing about a longstanding brand, is you have a lot of history to lean on and sort of look at. But on the other hand, you also want to keep it fresh. So I give, Neil Johnson and the design team, that work on this and other products, I definitely tip my cap to them in the sense that they know what we're looking for when it's a brand like this, and they do a great job of presenting something fresh and unique year after year. So yeah, it's definitely a fun one, to see it come to life. And just going through it with Bedard and seeing the rookie mock-ups of those cards. And I can't wait for you guys to start seeing that stuff as well. But I think you guys are going to like it a lot. So yeah, I thought this design turned out fantastic. I love the Future Watch this year. I think our Sign of the Times cards look great. Some of our other new autos, but yeah, it definitely nailed the line look and the history of SP Authentic while still presenting something a little bit different.
Where do you start the design? Do you start with the base card, or on a set like this, do you start designing the Future Watch auto and then move everything to kind of fit where you settle on that design?
I'd say those are the top two. Most of the time when we're going through it, we will start with the base. It just sort of naturally works that way. That's the first card we kind of discuss. So a lot of times that's the first design that you'll end up seeing. But yeah, like a set like this, there will quickly be moving on to the Future Watch auto patch, sort of the long-standing key cards, and sort of go from there. But yeah, those are for sure going to be the first ones that we sort of lock down, make sure everyone's happy with it, and then we sort of move on to the rest.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And as far as the next question I had is because along with the just sort of like the base Future Watches, you will typically have a number of retro inspired designs. How do you pick the retro years and the themes? Do you kind of go sequentially, where if you did like 2002 retro last year, you do 2003 this year, or is it a more of a just sort of whatever kind of strikes the mood of you and the team, or whatever fits the design better? Theme of the
yeah,
set?
You're absolutely right with the anniversary sort of thing. So we usually lean into the 10-year and the 20-year, again, because we've talked about how long this brand has been around. You have that in your back pocket, which is pretty great. But yeah, we usually do 10 years. So then again, in the product that just released, you'll be seeing like 2002, 2003, as well as 2012, 2013 designs. And yeah, I don't think we'll depart from that too much. If anything, going forward, you may see a little bit of less retro. But there's always some thematic reason behind it if we do use it. In SP Authentic, the anniversaries are usually the key sort of decision maker there.
Mm-hmm. And then beyond the Future Watch autos and the Future Watch auto retros, there's some other, I think, long-standing auto products within the set, like Sign of the Times.
Yep.
Comes to mind. That's been around forever. And then you'll have just regular Sign of the Times. And then in addition to that, you'll have multiple player autos. We have those again this year, correct?
Oh yeah, you have Sign of the Times up through 8. Yeah, exactly. The 8 ways with 4 autos on the front, 4 on the back. Those are huge cards. Love seeing when people pull those cards. Those are so fun just to see the selection of players and everything on those. But yeah, those aren't going anywhere. We know the collectors love those cards, and they're absolutely in this year's set.
And with the multiple player Sign of the Times, those are the one exception where they're stickers, right?
Yeah, that is exactly right. Those are the one exception within the brand where you will see sticker autographs. Yeah, once you go beyond the trios, the 3s, the 4s, the 6s, and 8s, those are labels. could only imagine how much difficulty it would be for talent acquisitions to get 8 different players to sign a card like that. From what I've seen and understand, the collectors are understanding of that and are fine with those being labeled. So yeah, that is how we go about getting those completed. Yep.
Yeah, I think just the logistics, unless you could take it to like an all-star game where all those guys are there and somehow bother them and get it done then. But I think it protects the condition of the card too, because if you have one card signed by 8 players, it gets mailed and handled.
Yeah, that's a lot of hands touching that card, a lot of shipping it, a lot exactly. So yes, you're absolutely right.
What's new this year with this set? Like, what are the kind of the new twists that you work to add to SP Authentic?
I'm trying to think some of the new exciting stuff. So we've got like a new auto insert in there called Telemetry, which I thought turned out really beautiful. Some really nice names in that one. We've got some new Future Watch unsigned chase cards. So we've added a little more color to the set, which I think is going to be really cool. We've included you have your limited base, which has limited red and limited black, but we've also added in some limited Future Watch cards that are serial numbered. So there's going to be some new sort of layers of that. If you're a player collector or, just certain opening boxes, there's going to be a lot more colorful parallel chase in that sense, which I think is going to be a nice addition. So those are a new one that we've added. Trying to think, I think our bounty program might have a few new wrinkles, some surprises to it, but you guys will have to sort of kind of go through that organically to see what we've got going on there. But really, yeah, last year was really the one where we really shook things up with the config. So we felt, it should feel similar. We don't want to make too many changes year over year in that sense. But yeah, I think those new numbered color parallels are going to be sort of the new big one that people are going to enjoy finding.
I noticed we opened up a box this morning, and I definitely noticed that where in past, a lot of the base parallels, especially, was very subtle, where maybe a little bit of a red or blue background element where there is more color. And then I think just in general, your guys' move to, with a lot of these products that really for the last, year and a half now, it seems to be a transition where less packs, but more hits per pack.
Right.
And I'm generally a big fan of that. I feel like you just kind of feel emotionally like you get more out of each pack. And then I had definitely noticed and had on my list to talk about the greater amount of Future Watch cards that are not autoed with those and the parallels and some of the, I know you have like there's the limited, there's a red, a blue, and then there's a black 101, I think, and then the gold out of 99.
Exactly.
It feels like you're getting more rookies. That's the sense that I got when I opened my box. And so even because if I had a critique of SP Authentic in the past, it would have been that it's kind of that one pack box where you're kind of ripping through and trying to see who that Future Watch auto is. And if you hit it in the third pack, then and I just felt like that you did a really nice job in keeping my attention and throughout the entire box.
That's great to hear. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's exactly what we were going for. I mean, it's a tighter box now, with only 10 packs. So we really want each of those 10 packs to feel impactful. You've got, 6 base, but then sandwiched between those base, you got 3 chase cards. So a variety of color, obviously a variety of autograph content, your Spectrum FX with the bounty. So you've got a lot of different things to look for. Every box should get 1 numbered card or rare tech. So there's some really cool stuff in there. Again, we're trying to make that exactly like you said. We don't want it to be one pack or bust. We want every pack to be fun. And again, like I mentioned, every box has at least 2 autographs. So even if you pull your 2 autos and there's still a few more packs, don't stop, because there's still a chance at a third autograph or other chase hit. So yeah, that's good to hear that your experience was what we were going for. Hopefully other collectors feel the same.
I really enjoyed the pageantry card this year too. And I think we might have talked about this last time where I got what you're going with pageantry in 2021, but I know it's like when you're introducing a new card and you're using different printing technologies and you're working off of computer, sometimes you get to see them in hand. And we've
Oh
learned
yeah.
this from Billy too, where it's like, well, sometimes it works out better than maybe you thought. And other times you're like, oh, once we see the physical product and the pageantry, the background was cool last year. It was just very hard to read
Mm-hmm.
any of the elements on the card. And so it looks
Agreed.
like this year that you've kind of added more solid colors behind the text to
Yep.
make it a little more readable, and you've still kind of kept that. Is there a term for the background of this card, or how do you describe it?
It's really just opaque, honestly. Like I agree. Like last year's version of that card was not hit with enough opaque. The foil board just sort of dominated the card. It was really hard to read. I think they did a much better job, but I do think there's still some room for improvement, honestly. So I think we're going in the right direction. I liked what I saw today earlier with the early box that I did break. But yeah, we still have a little bit of course correction, in my opinion, on that to really nail it. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that that you agree that it is moving in the right direction.
Want to talk about the bounty program a little
Yep.
bit too, for people that aren't maybe aware of kind of how your bounty programs work. Do you want to give maybe a brief overview?
Absolutely. So yeah, this is one of our more popular bounty programs every year. You go to upperdeckbounty.com to see all our variety of bounties that are currently in play, and then obviously as new products come out, they'll be added to it. But those in this product, they're tied directly to the Spectrum FX cards. So these beautiful light FX inserts, you should get at least one per box. In many cases, two. You will get, really to break it down, you get a combination of 4 autographs or Spectrum FX minimum per box. So this year's program is a little different. You're going to want to go and collect the first 91 cards. So in the past, it's been 100. I believe last year we made the adjustment. So it is similar here that there's 91 pack pulled SP Spectrum FX cards, and that's both veterans and Future Watch subjects with different tiering, different ratios. So the higher the tier Future Watch, the tougher they are. And that's all stated online and on our packaging and everything to see how tough those are. But if you're able to go out and collect the 91 card bounty Spectrum FX set found in packs, you go to upperdeckbounty.com, scratch your codes. I always recommend having all the cards before you scratch your codes, because some people maybe decide halfway through, you know what, it's too tough, can't find the cards, or moving on to collect something else. So I'm going to, sell these, trade these. They carry a lot more value with that code intact. So I always recommend get all 91 cards together, go over to the Upper Deck Bounty website. Again, it's upperdeckbounty.com, and scratch your codes, enter those codes. And then there are some announced pricing along with some surprises. So there is a gold Spectrum FX set, which is serial numbered. You will get a full set of those. You'll also get an exclusive Spectrum FX Bounty Award set, which is a 9-card set. And then there are also, again, some other races involved there with the gold. So I think the golds are numbered to 50. So it's the first 50 that do the program will get that full gold set. And obviously there's always some bragging rights and some collector sort of exclusivity, having set number 1 or set number 50, or the set number to a particular player's jersey number. So there's a lot of fun different factors involved with that. But the cards do very well. They're beautiful cards, and like I mentioned, there are some surprises in the mix too, if you are one of the lucky collectors to go ahead and put that set together. So hoping you guys will find that out soon and report back to us. Let us know what you think.
Does it surprise you how fast some people complete it?
Yes, this one especially. I know it's not an easy one, but yes, it just shows the passion and the interest in this particular brand and the bounty itself. But yeah, it is very surprising to see how quickly they're collected.
So I mentioned we opened a box this morning, and we did get a Spectrum FX Future Watch card. And honestly, my thought was they're so nice that it's almost a shame to damage the card a little bit by scratching off the bounty program.
Yeah, that's the decision you have to make. There's certainly There's certainly going to be collectors that agree with you and they're not going to scratch it and keep it intact, for grading purposes or just for their personal collection. But we see both sides to that. That's just, a decision the collector will individually have to make, but they are really beautiful cards. I agree. I thought this year's turned out exceptional. So, that's just up to the collector to decide, but I can assure you that the prizing that you would be awarded is worth it. And again, getting the gold set, is pretty spectacular and being serial numbered and everything. So those cards, there's no concern of having you have to scratch off or anything. So yeah, but they are nice looking cards. I agree.
So I have a question about parallels and colors. Is there sort of like, once you become sort of like a grizzled vet in the product management of putting together sports card sets, that you just certain rules that it's like, how do you go about deciding that there's going to be a red parallel or a blue parallel? Is it more random than I think, or is there some sort of like science or art to
I'd like to
making
say
those
there's
decisions?
Sure. No, it's a great question. I'd like to think that there's some thought behind it. I know I try to put thought behind it. I know my other product managers do as well. Like, again, there's something to the lineage or history of a brand. That always goes into it. That's one factor. But, also going through the design phase, we may say, at the beginning, we really want this to be a red parallel. But as we see the designs being created and the designer may have suggestions too, like, I really think this would look better in blue or purple. And we always take all of that into consideration. And again, looking at the brand and what people are expecting, what's been in there in the past, what's in other brands. So we do put thought into it. It's not a completely random guess. And then we try to sync up the colors so that they make sense, right? There is a limited red parallel of the entire set. If you want to go collect that, you can do so. There's an entire gold, there's an entire black, which again are one of ones and extremely rare. But we do try to put the thought and the care into that so that there is meaning behind it.
Do you have a favorite card in this release?
Well, that's a great question. From what I've seen so far, broken, and then just my memory of all of the designs, I would say this year I really enjoyed the Sign of the Times cards. Like, I thought those looked really beautiful. I know vertical cards are sort of the most desired, but I do think there's something to just the imagery and everything with hockey and giving the player a larger area to sign for, especially when they take advantage of it. I think it can just make a really spectacular looking card. So really, really love that. I mean, I really love the Future Watch design too this year. I thought it was a great change from last year, just sort of fresh. But yeah, I gravitate towards that Sign of the Times. And I really love the mystery black version of it too. I just think the card just aesthetically looks very clean, and the gold auto on the black version it pops really well. So yeah, I know most people would probably assume Future Watch, but it's certainly up there. But yeah, I enjoyed the Sign of the Times this year a lot.
One of the things I really appreciate about getting autos, whether it be rookies or not, from what I would consider auto-driven products, is that you can tell that the design of the card is really centered around that auto. Because, like, I agree, I really like the Sign of the Times too. And there's that huge space where it gives a lot of room for the athlete to sign, number one. And then it puts area to breathe or white space around the auto too, so that it can become a really nice focal point in the design. Where and I understand like your guys' position too, because collectors want autos in every product, but some products are not designed as, like, I would say, like, even, this is just my opinion, but OPC Platinum, like, I actually prefer like a regular seismic gold over a seismic gold auto, because you can tell that the card was designed first and foremost not to be autoed, but then because everybody expects an auto, you sort of deaden a little area on the card and leave a space for that person to auto. Now, I get it. People may have totally different opinions than that, but and so I just wanted to say that I agree with you, and that one of the things I love about this product is that, as in sort of an auto, like I said, driven product, there's just, it's really designed around, the card itself is designed around that autograph.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I do think that, SP, or as you mentioned, OPG Platinum, like, yeah, the rookie auto should be its own design. It stands on its own, but I can see what you mean where, maybe the card, maybe they were designing the unsigned version first and they sort of leaned into the design elements to that. And then, I've got to fit an auto in here, but
it's not even that. It's not even like a critique on the design as much. It's just the whole technology. When you have like a chromium card, that's not a great surface to write an auto on. So you fundamentally have to do something. You either put a sticker over chromium, or you have to make the surface more abrasive, right? So that an auto can actually stick to it, and not just for a week. It's, you need that. I want that auto 25 years from now.
Oh yeah.
To look as good. And so, where you see like a difference with SP Authentic is the autos are more paper, because that's the best surface really for an auto, not like a chromium. And like I said, it's not to, I just use the example of OPG Platinum more as a comparison, not as a critique. It just to say that if you're looking for if you like rookie autos or you like player autos, that this is a set that, is really designed for that.
I agree 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I actually didn't get to that I kind of want to cover quick is another hallmark of SP Authentic is not just the rookies, and I'm primarily talking about the autos here, but there's usually a good amount and some very big and interesting cards around vets and legends. Any highlights in 2022 that we should know about?
I really love that we brought back the UD Authentics cards from way back when. I think those have been a great addition because they give you another area again to showcase the legends and the current stars outside of the Future Watch being the main driver. I really love the UD Authentics. I love the UD Authentics patch cards that we do. Again, there's some long-standing ones that, again, the design team does a great job of giving something fresh with your marks of distinction. Like, I've always really loved those cards. Just definitely those sort of things in there. I think those are sort of the ones that stand out to me right now, but I know there's a few other ones as well. We do our chirography cards, which, again, long-standing, and kudos to design for keeping that one fresh. But I've always really liked the marks, and the chirography for sure is sort of another really good spot to load up with the top names of all time, as well as up and coming stars and our current superstars like McDavid and such as well.
Now, as far as like what vets and legends end up getting on the checklist, is that something that your coordinating staff really determines, or do you work with them on that because like one of the things, and this is a bigger question than just the products you work on, but you're definitely involved, is that I've been thinking about is how do you like balance the total amount of like Wayne Gretzky autographs that Upper Deck pumps out every year, or because I think Grant even mentioned to us that you guys have cooled off on Bobby Orr a little bit to try to protect the scarcity of those. And so I'm just curious how it gets decided which legends make it on to a checklist like SP Authentic.
That's a great question. That's definitely the coordinator's jurisdiction, and Tommy Kompas and Chad Lynch and those guys that build all those out, Matt Bromley, they do a great job with that. Colin Alston, all these guys deserve a lot of credit, but it's really dictated by the contracts. So again, if you're a legend and you're a retired player, you're no longer part of the Players Association. So that means we got to go out and get an individual deal. So that's a big part of it. And those guys really come up with the list of names along with us, Grant, myself. We all give suggestions, but really the coordinators do the heavy lifting of determining like, who are we going to go get deals with? How many autographs do we need? And then how do we responsibly use them across, the next year or so. Those guys really do deserve a lot of credit for putting that together, but we do give our input. We will say, hey, marks of distinction, please make sure it's loaded up with all Hall of Famers, et cetera, like that sort of direction. But then from there, it's really the coordinator group that's going to, make that determination, and they understand it, and they're watching the secondary market as well. And like Grant mentioned with the Bobby Orr, like, if we start to see a guy's value softening that's just shouldn't be happening, like that can be a sign of too much market saturation. And yeah, we might start pulling them back. You might see them a little bit less, but I guess we have some say, but the coordinator group ultimately are the ones that are going to really be the driver in that sense. But they understand what's in front of them. They understand the responsibility of keeping these guys' values and not putting 1,000 Gretzky's into a product. As much as a collector may enjoy the sound of that, they won't enjoy it when the values are degrading and you can find them every other box, right? There's no fun in that at that point, right? So it's a balance. It's definitely a delicate balance, just like it is for a product manager to retain content and keep things fresh. Same thing on a coordinator. You want to make sure you're keeping your checklists compelling, exciting, has the key names people are looking for, but also you need to have some new names in the mix and maybe some names from the past that people maybe have forgotten about, or they haven't seen an autograph from that person in a long time. So I've seen some pretty cool names come through that I can't tell you guys about, but there's a lot of variety and different names, both active and retired, that I think will be great additions to our checklists in the coming next couple of years. So it should be pretty great.
Okay, so as far as Easter eggs or cards that were not originally on the checklist, I know I've seen so far the Future Watch acetates, a number of them up on eBay. So I have a question around that, and this has been a little bit of a hot topic by hobbyists as of late, as a result to the Connor Bedard Easter egg in Series 1. And that I think a lot of people assume when they hear the word Easter egg that a card is like very, very, very short printed. Like I'm a big fan of like Glow Peachy back from 2016.
Yeah, love those cards. Oh yeah.
And they're impossible to find. I mean, those were obviously not printed a ton, and especially in good condition. And so when you have like a Future Watch acetate, like I'm looking on eBay right now, I'm not saying it's going to go for this, but there's already a Matty Beniers Future Watch acetate, and it's listed for $4,500.
Wow.
And
great.
I know you're not going to disclose the print runs, and so that's not the question I'm asking. But given that you guys don't do that, if I'm a Matty Beniers fan and I'm looking at this card and it's $4,500, and I'm trying to figure out, well, how rare is this? Is there any sort of like guidance you guys, without disclosing the print run, how do you qualify to a guy like me that's a collector how rare something like this is? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Obviously, being an Easter egg, like you mentioned, like we want there to be some mystery behind it, and we also want the community and the collector, the hobby, to sort of, you guys do your homework, you guys do your research, and keep an eye on things. And I think those answers will sort of come to light the more the product is broken, the more you see those cards come to the market, or just again in general. But generally I would agree. If it's an Easter egg, it's certainly not something you're going to find in every pack. Like we want Easter eggs to be case hits, multi case hits. But yeah, I mean,
tough question. I get it, but
yeah,
I felt like I have to ask, and I understand again that you guys don't disclose print runs on this, but I'm assuming they're more rare than the Bedard Easter egg in Series 1. Is that a good assumption?
I'm not sure about that, honestly.
Okay.
Might be close. Honestly, it might be closer than the Bedard, or close to the Bedard rarity. But again, you're talking different products, different configurations. So certainly not an apples to apples comparison. But if you're saying that if I open up a case, I'm going to get one of those Bedards, I think that's, at this point, everyone's pretty aware that's not guaranteed. And I think it's fair to say in SP Authentic that there's no guarantee of one of these acetate Future Watches per case either. Yeah. So there's a number of factors in play there. But yeah, if you're talking multi-case level chase, then yeah, I would say in that sense you could compare it to the Bedard.
Okay.
Yeah. Somebody had really good luck to pull that one day one. That's great. That's awesome. It's not a one of one. Obviously that's not the case. There are more than one copy of that card, but it is pretty limited.
And are all like future or Young Guns acetates now? Are those kind of all moved to extended, where kind of the acetate chase in SP Authentic is more now the Future Watch acetate? Is that correct? Am I correct in saying that, or incorrect?
I think that's a fair assessment. I think you're onto something there for sure.
And I know that this is more applicable to Young Guns because there's the clear cut comparison, but I know that like the Future Watch acetate is very similar to the Young Guns acetate. So can you kind of describe to someone who maybe thinks of like a key rookie acetate card as like a Young Guns clear cut, what the difference is between like a Future Watch acetate or a Young Guns acetate? Because they're kind of night and day when you see them in person.
Yeah, you might see like a scan on eBay and think they're the same sort of card, but yeah, clear cut is just going to be a one sheet of acetate. It's a one sheet, like one layer card essentially, whereas an acetate Future Watch or Young Gun or the like would be is a multi-layer laminated card. So essentially it's thicker. It has a clear back, an acetate back, and then it has a die cut top sheet on the card. So they're beautiful cards. I love seeing them in hand when I'm, in a display at a show or at the expo or whatnot. But yeah, those are certainly ones that eBay or other online just scans don't do them justice. There's definitely a layered effect to the card. Feels a little more impactful than just a straight clear cut. Clear cuts are beautiful cards too, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot more that goes into the construction and the build of an acetate in this case for sure.
And then would another kind of hallmark of an acetate be is it the rainbow foiling? Is that what is?
Yeah, I'll usually have like
shinier.
It'll have like a rainbow deco foil treatment we call spectrum deco foil. So it'll have sort of a rainbow sheen as opposed to just like a shiny silver or gold. Like, yeah, this will actually have like a rainbow effect to it. That's absolutely right.
Are there any other Easter eggs that are in the set or that have popped up that you can talk about at this point?
I mean, there's one other one that comes to mind when you mentioned the acetate Future Watch. There's also a different variety of acetate Future Watch. I will tell you that. But I think you guys will see, when you see it, you will know it. So I'm going to kind of leave it there, but I do think you guys will see those pop up here very soon. Hopefully today or, in the next few days. But yes, there is another version of an acetate card that I think will get people very excited that is also in the product.
I'm just kind of putting myself in your shoes real quick. Is that kind of the funnest part of working on these sets? Are those kind of Easter eggs, knowing that there's these surprises that hopefully elate people in a good way once the product comes out?
I love it. I think our whole team does. Yeah, I think that's certainly one of the more fun. Yeah, I would agree with that statement. I think it's, again, just the organic way that this hobby works, and when cards are found and then people start posting on social media and on other websites, oh, look what I found, this card's not on any checklists, and they start calling our customer service team and inquiring as to what it is. So yeah, I think those are certainly one of the more fun aspects. But I mean, this is all fun. Like I'm a lucky guy. I don't take it for granted what I get to do here. And but yeah, that is definitely one of the more exciting parts to see when you guys start finding things that we put in place that are intended to be surprises. So yeah, I think we all enjoy that, and I hope you guys do as well.
Mm-hmm. One more question just about SP Authentic, and then we'll ask you really briefly about anything that's coming up next. But and this might just be me, but I've had the feeling over the last year that as far as like rookie patch autos go, that what we call the FWAP here in very endearing terms, the Future Watch auto patch, is becoming more and more significant as and considered a really high-end, top-tier rookie auto patch card. Have you guys noticed that too, or has that like been a concerted effort to really kind of amp up the game of the FWAP, or is it just something that's happened organically?
We understand the importance of that card. I mean, obviously there's there's way less of them. They're numbered to 100, so it's way less than your 999 Future Watch. And we always give direction that the patch piece has got to be a smoking piece of patch, multicolor, something really dynamic. So our cutting team, our North Carolina, our operations team, they do a great job with that. So yeah, we do understand that. And yeah, we have seen that card kind of tick up and up and up as sort of another card that people want to make sure is in their PC. But yeah, it's a tougher pull for sure. It's a tougher one to chase. So yeah, we have watched that. And we're careful with that as far as the tiering and the serial numbering of those cards. You will see some players that'll even have less than 100 of those, which again just makes the value and the chase that much more enticing. But yeah, we do understand that, and we do keep an eye on that. And so we've definitely seen that card sort of on the rise, if you will, for sure.
Anything else about this release that's important for us to know about?
We already went over no redemptions. I think that's a key thing that we can discuss. The other thing I would say is the update cards. There's some pretty cool update cards in here. The big ones, and again, we know there's going to be varying degrees of thought on that, but if we have cards that are returned to us after we release a prior year set and it's a compelling card, we want to get that in collectors' hands. So one way we do that is with our updates. And I think there's some pretty important ones in here. There's some Maurice Sider cards that we were not able to pack out last year, and there was a lot of questions and some disappointed Detroit fans and disappointed collectors as to why those were not included. But it's a fact that we received them after the date we needed them for last year, and it was decided that they should instead of being a redemption, especially being an inscribed card. We never want to take the chance, because if a guy doesn't want to do an inscription, or we don't get the cards back with the inscription, then we've got another issue. But in this case, there are some pretty nice Mo Sider that you've got his inscribed Future Watch, you've got his Future Watch auto patch. So, even if you were a fan of that class, or, a fan of this class, there's some pretty cool update cards that you can chase. And I definitely think it's worth noting. And I think people are going to be happy that those cards are now available for them to add to their collection.
Cool.
Yeah.
You got big plans, or I'm assuming that, and again, it's just sort of logic, but you've got Connor Bedard in 2023-24. You've sort of known that that's been coming for, the hype has been building for a while. And so did you, is there any little nuggets you can give us from a preview perspective to get people excited about that release?
As far as the Bedard year, I mean, I would say expect what you would expect in the product, but we would definitely be doing it a disservice to not add in a few new chase elements, which will definitely be there. But yeah, I wish I could give you more on that, but until that one is solicited and sort of out there. But believe me, we are well aware of the importance of the 23-24 version of SP Authentic. And I think based on what I'm seeing here, we're definitely going to excite you guys when that one comes out as well. So yeah, enjoy this one while it's here. But yes, 23-24 will definitely be a winner when you guys see that. And there'll be some fun new things for you guys to look for.
What other new releases do you think you have coming out in the near future?
Oh man, we have a lot. We have a lot of stuff coming. Today was a big day. I know you guys are mainly hockey, but we've had both SP Authentic and Team Canada Juniors. But we also, on our entertainment side, released our Hawkeye product, which is based on the Disney Plus series. So good timing from a holiday perspective. It was a holiday themed show. That one's coming out now right around the holiday season, and it's got all the big name signers from that show. So I think that one's going to be a fun one. But over the next few months,
what about your sets in particular? What are the next hockey sets that you worked on that you think are coming out?
I think you'll see the Bedard's O-Pee-Chee coming out here sooner than later. 2023 Goodwin, we're pushing hard to get that one out here soon. We're going to think what else we guys got. Those will probably be the big ones, along with everything I mentioned that came out today. But yeah, I think Bedard's O-Pee-Chee cards should be pretty fun to see. I think that one will come out before Series 2, so it should have some time before his Young Gun hits. go chase the marquee rookies and some of the more limited versions of his rookie cards and that. So there's some fun stuff in O-Pee-Chee as well. That again, it's nice now that releases a little later and we're able to get the new skaters in there. So those are the big ones that come to mind. But Black Diamond will be here before you know it. Very excited for that one for 23-24. And then also getting O-Pee-Chee Platinum out the door here soon too. Getting 22-23 O-Pee-Chee Platinum out soon. So we've got a lot of stuff in the hopper as we continue to get caught up here. But yeah, those are the ones that come to mind in the next few months towards the end of this year and early next year that I think you guys are going to be very excited to see. And Goodwin for me is a big one. I'm very happy to get caught up, and ideally we have 23 out by the end of 23, but if not, early 2024, and then onward to 2024 Goodwin. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the works.
Well, you've been very generous with your time, and like I said, I'm a big fan of the cards in 2022-23 SP Authentic, and I think you did a really nice job. So thank you very much for your time, and we'll look forward to talking with you again soon, Tony.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it. Anytime. Thanks again for having me on.
All right. Thanks again to Tony Sirianni for joining the show. He's a very, very good guy, and again, had a lot of, I think, really interesting information about SP Authentic. And because we started recording right when you got home, Troy, you haven't even heard it. So
no, I haven't.
You're going to have to be a listener to our show.
I am.
And learn all about SP Authentic from Tony. Want to jump quick now into new product releases. And I mentioned when I was talking to Tony that we did get a box today to start our pack opening series. The first video of that is live on Instagram. So if you want to see us open up our box of 2022-23 SP Authentic, be sure to check that out. Kind of probably every day or every other day, we sort of mix it in with different boxes on our Hockey Cards Gongshow Instagram account. And I have some, I guess, initial thoughts that I just wanted to share on the product. Again, it really helps to get it in your hands and to see the cards firsthand. Biggest issue I've had with this SP Authentic release has nothing to do with Upper Deck or Tony or the designs. It's just the rookie class, and we've talked about that ad nauseum. And so, kind of, I think, just leave that where it is. As far as sort of like execution on the design of the set and the production, I think he did a bang up job. I really think the designs are clean, but they're interesting this year. It's different from last year. The autos all have like a lot of area on the card that they've kind of planned around to have the players sign. One of the big things that Tony mentioned in the interview, Troy, that is huge, and I think he should get a lot of credit, and the team should get a lot of credit for, is 0 redemptions.
Yeah, that's huge.
2022-23 SP Authentic. And so if you think about it, and like I didn't really get him to bite. I was trying to get him to tell me how many autos are in this product. But if you think about it, so there's 100 rookies on the checklist. All have at least even their base Future Watch auto, and they all have like a lot of them have retros and all that stuff too. That's 100,000 individual autographs.
Oh, we could
off the base.
Yeah. We could have figured it out.
150,000 or something like that individual autographs in this product, which have 0 redemptions, is I'm pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, we could figure that out. I'll work on that. I'm gonna now do that. That's my homework.
And I would agree with Tony in his assessment in the interview too, where he says that they really tried to get more color into the box. I did feel that a little bit. We talked about SP Authentic has that kind of like museum kind of minimalist sort of feel, where it's like a lot of white space and can maybe feel a little could feel a little cold at times. And a lot of times, like the parallels would have just very subtle color, where they're much more vibrant colors. Today, some of the inserts like still feel a little like they could be like the SP top rookies, and I'm talking more about the base or like the future icons. I don't know. Again, maybe could use a little bit more technology or something like that. And I'll still go back to, other than the Future Watch acetates, which are, I think, less than 1 a case, I would guess. I still feel like that SP Authentic does need like one more kind of big or known insert chase as a part of it. And I was kind of thinking too, like, I think one of the strategies Upper Deck, and this is just my theory, Troy, that they've used over the last couple of years to honestly make extended somewhat viable is they've taken some of those kind of extra hits or
Yep.
chases from SP Authentic and moved them to extended. So the first
Mhm.
was the Young Guns update. So if anyone is like a Rangers fan and collects Igor Shesterkin, he was not in Series 1 or Series 2 because he would have kind of fell into where when he made his NHL debut, where he would be an extended today. And so that was a Young Guns update that would have been pulled from 2019 SP Authentic. Then what they did is they also made the decision to move the Young Guns acetates to extended this past year as well, which again now makes extended kind of cool
Yeah.
and a much more viable product. And they seem to replace that in SP Authentic with the Future Watch acetates, which is not bad in of itself. But while I do like the set a whole lot better, and there's a lot more rookies with the unautographed Future Watches in them. The Spectrum FX bounty cards look amazing. It's almost like you don't even want to scratch it. So nice. But yeah, I just, and I don't know what the answer is, but I just still feel like there's just been something missing from SP Authentic. Is that fair in your mind?
Yeah, I think we've talked about that previously, and I agree. I just want kind of one more thing. I don't know what it is. I think it will probably come at some point, but yeah, I agree with you.
And given it's like 6 weeks or 6 months since 2021 SP Authentic
Yep.
came out, like we talked about Tony, it positions them to be much more on schedule for the 2023 release, which will have Bedard and Fantilli and
Yep.
Carlson and Logan Cooley and all those other
It's gonna be
guys.
huge. Gonna be
Matthew
huge.
Knies, Luke Hughes. That's going to be, I mean, you're going to have a really good shot of hitting a good Future Watch auto. We won't. We're going to
Yeah.
get a Ryan O'Reilly sign of the times, but
What
yeah,
you want to make a box prediction? Box price
price.
prediction?
Well, we paid 180 for ours, and everyone is saying in our Discord is 150. So I don't want to be that guy like arguing with the LCS we go to all the time.
Well, if that's
But
the case, we might have to look at
I don't know. You think 300 or 350? Is that crazy?
I don't know. I'm almost thinking more, but
That's the thing
especially
with
if
this whole Bedard business. There's like no prediction that you can make that is inherently you could say is stupid, right?
yeah.
Like you could say, I think his for the first month of Series 2, his Young Guns will sell for $800 or more, and you can't say that that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And now, do I think that'll happen? No, but would I be surprised if it did either? It's like nothing surprises me anymore
Yeah.
with Bedard. I'm just like shake my head and like, okay,
Move on.
whatever. Really quickly, a new product releases, and kind of thinking about what's next. I was peeking ahead, Troy, at the release calendar, and the two kind of candidates I'm seeing right now for additional November releases. Now, I think it'll be a little bit lighter this month because Upper Deck, I don't think is going to release anything Expo week, and
No,
then
I wouldn't think so.
Thanksgiving week. I don't doesn't well. We might have one come out then, but it would be either 2022-23 credentials or 2022-23 ice. So we just had those releases come out. So
Yeah.
it's like, holy cow. And I'm anticipating credentials will do weaker rookie class again, of course, but we'll at least have the rookie autos. So that would be a step in the right direction.
Cool.
Okay, it's time for our PWCC weekly preview. And just a reminder, PWCC is a Gongshow partner and sponsor. Many, many, many thanks to them for their support of our show. Before we get into our favorite cards in the weekly auction, just a quick reminder that the November premiere auction goes live tonight. There's always huge hockey cards in the auction, so be sure to check them out. And if you're the high roller type like Troy, you might want to place some bids. We did get a message from our PWCC contacts about a new grading special that they announced, which is really cool. So now one of the things that they do, and I've taken advantage of this before, if you submit raw cards to either their vault or for one of their auctions, you can have them graded first and they'll send them out to grading before they go. SGC is kind of one of the options that they offer. And now you can get your cards graded through PWCC buy SGC for only $14 a card. I think that's cheaper than going directly with SGC. So it's just an awesome and seamless service. If you're going to send the card to an auction or to the vault, and you don't have to ship to grading, have it come back, then ship it to PWCC.
Yeah.
Just take care of it all in one shot. A bunch more information on this special offer they're doing with SGC on the PWCC website at pwccmarketplace.com. And then be sure to tune in this Sunday night, 8:30 Central Time, for our collaboration with Jeremy Lee on Jeremy's Sports Cards Live YouTube channel, as we cover all the key hockey cards closing in the current PWCC Weekly Auction. I really look forward to doing the show because, frankly, I just learned so much from Jeremy and love the interaction with everyone in the chat too. So it's a lot of fun. Hope to see you all there. And it's Thursday, Troy. It's time for us to highlight our favorite vintage of modern cards in this week's PWCC Weekly. It's one of my favorite things that we do. I actually really look forward to your picks because I learn a lot from those as well. And can always count on you to, pick something kind of a little more random, which is fantastic and in a great way. And so we're going to start with our favorite vintage cards. We're going to start with a card that threw Troy off his rocker today.
Yeah.
They tried to convince me it wasn't in the auction. We'll get into that reason in a second, but it's a 1970 OPG Bobby Clark rookie. It's a PSA 8. And why were you trying to convince me this card was not in the auction, Troy?
Because I was searching for it in the search bar and it wasn't coming up. I was doing Bobby Clark PSA 8, couldn't find it. Finally, I realized it like a bonehead. If you're watching on YouTube, the card's name on the card is actually Bob Clark. So once I searched for Bob Clark, I found it in Heartbeat. So that was my issue. But
Good to know if you're trying to find the card on the PWCCmarketplace.com website, that you might want to search for Bob Clark. And then so you let me know it's not in the auction. And then I had a panic attack. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. How could I have done all the research and found the photos if it's not? Like, did I go to an old auction? Did I just spend like an hour looking into Bobby Clark for no reason? But gladly we got it all sorted out. And I did pick him in the first place because he's another one of these legendary players that I don't think we've talked about to a great length on our show.
We talked about how he's a horrible human being when he was GM and making players play with concussions. But I really think that's the only time we've really talked about him.
Yeah, so I was kind of excited to learn a little bit more about him. And, we're not from Philadelphia either. I'm sure that they have much more recognition of what he did in his career. So Clark, Troy, spent all 15 of his years in the NHL with your Philadelphia Flyers. He was the Flyers captain from 1973 to 79, won 2 cups during that period in 74 and 75, then took a hiatus from captaincy and then was the captain of the Flyers again from 82 to 84 before retiring. Now, like an idiot, I didn't look up why he wasn't the captain. But we'll do that. I'm sure we'll talk about him again. We'll do that later because now I'm curious about my own research. Clark won the Hart Trophy 3 times, Selke in 1983, Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy in 1972. He's a 3-time 100-point scorer in his career. Finished his NHL career with 358 goals, 852 assists for 1,210 points in 1,144 games played. He is a member, of course, of the Hockey Hall of Fame. His number 16 is retired by the Flyers. And this is kind of cool. Each year, the Bobby Clark Trophy is awarded to the Flyers MVP. So it's a team award that they give out. And Troy, Bobby Clark still holds all-time Flyers records for most games played with 1,144, most points, 1,210. Plus minus, he's a plus 506 for his career.
That's pretty good. As much as it's plus minus has been debated and kind of thrown out, but that's pretty impressive.
And if you're watching on YouTube,
this picture.
Now,
barely any teeth. Looks like a vampire.
That's gonna get all the ladies there right now. He has the most playoff points in Flyers history with 119. Now, looking at the card, going back to the card itself, card's in really nice condition. It's a little bit off-centered from left to right. Right edge might be a little bit rough too, but again, it's a PSA 8.
Mhm.
What really stood out to me is the print quality. Like if you look at the surface of this card, you're not going to find like fish eyes. You're not going to find a lot of. I mean, it's really, really nice.
Yeah.
And the picture of young Bob. So
Mhm.
as a wee lass, he was Bob, and then he matured into Bobby, which is kind of funny, I
Mhm.
guess. But um, again, if you can handle a little bit of off centering,
Yep.
this is a super nice card. Like coloring is just great too. Now, one thing that I've just never been able to wrap my head around about the 1970 OPG set and tops two is it has like these dots in the background.
Yeah.
I think some players have two, some people have three. The prevailing assumption, I believe, is that they're spotlights,
Spotlights, yeah.
but they look like snowballs or cotton balls
They're
or
terrible.
yeah, it's so weird. And does it bother you about this set too?
Yeah, I hate them. They're
It
just
would be like a million times better
ridiculous.
without them.
They're ridiculous. If I send this to like one of those take care of your cards, will they fill that in for me? Make it
Kurt's
look,
card care.
yeah, like making sure it's like the background because it looks ridiculous, but it is what it is. Time
Yeah, it's
sign
like
of the
you
time.
could do a better spotlight than it just seems like so
Yeah,
random.
yeah.
Again, though, awesome card. Of course, legendary player, even though he was mean to people with the concussions. We got to
Yeah.
throw that in there.
Great
Card
hockey
is
player though. And he had Troy's I want more nasty people. He definitely had that streak.
yeah, so you appreciate Billy Smith because he's kind of a turd out on the ice, and then you don't like Bobby Clark.
Yeah, Bobby Clark
Okay.
didn't make anyone go, or Billy Smith didn't make him play with concussions that I know of.
He was a goalie coach. Maybe his goalies had
Yeah,
concussions. You never know.
maybe whacked him with his stick when they didn't do what he told them to.
I think this card would be a great buy if you're a Flyers fan or
Hmm.
collector, or you collect Hall of Famers, or someone that's building the 1970 OPG set. Last sale for 1970 Bob Clark or Bobby Clark. OPG PSA 8 was 900 US on October 1st. All-time high was $1,000 on March 13th. You got a current bid, Troy?
I do $420.
All right, you had the next pick.
I do. Boy, I keep going to this picture and just loving. I love that picture. All right, so for my card, I did the 1975 OPG Clark Gillies rookie number 199 PSA 9. It has a PSA pop of 1 of 16 with only 4 graded high. What doesn't make sense? PSA pop 1 of 16, 4 graded high. Oh, okay. What? Never mind. I don't know
Yeah,
what
yeah,
that.
it's a PSA 9, so there's 16 PSA 9s and
Yeah,
there's 4 PSA 10s.
that's it. Troy can't read.
Can
Anyways.
I do a little test and see how well I know you here?
Yeah.
Did you pick this card 100% because of his hair?
Oh, I love the hair. I love the hair. I definitely know who he is, but it's one of those guys I don't know a lot about, so that always factors in on
Okay.
on who I choose. But yeah, look at the hair. That's sweet. So I need to put together like an all hair hockey card.
Next summer when we
collection.
need content, we got to
Yeah.
do like the Mount Rushmore of hockey here.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wrote, I mean, I had to get out of the 50s Parkers because I was on a run of 50s Parkies for a while. So I need to expand the horizons. And again, found a player we've only mentioned, I think, in passing a couple times. Maybe it was a teammate of someone we were talking about, but Clark Gillies. And just wanted to look at this one. And so you look at the card, PSA 9. So obviously it should be in pretty good shape. Overall, it does look really nice. It's got the PWCC exceptional eye appeal rating. And Josh, I had to look up what that meant because I know we talk about it a lot, but I had to read the definition of it. Here it is. This means, in the opinion of PWCC, the offered vintage trading card issued prior to 1987 and possessing market value over $250 has eye appeal and overall presentation that is exceptional for the assigned professional grade. On average, cards which receive the exceptional designation process qualities inherent to approximately the top 85 to 95% of all examples of this specific trading card assessed at this specific professional grade level. That's a lot of words, but just say it's really nice. I'll just say that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Code for it's a super sweet card.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. So centering, edges, and corners all look really nice on this card when you zoom in. It has the OPC rough cut. You can definitely see it when you zoom in.
Love me some OPG
Yep.
rough cut.
Josh loves it. I'm fine with it. I don't know if I fall either way on the opinion, but I do appreciate the differences. Now, Josh, you helped me because this is I think you're becoming kind of better at this than me. So down here where it says left wing, it looks like maybe the printing plate and on the puck. So is this like what you would say is a registration thing?
Yeah, I'm going to put my Jeremy Lee hat on for a second.
So I think there might be a little off with the printing plates when they were put together on the card or how they ever do that. Because that does look a tad off. And I looked up some other copies that did have the lettering was more white, where it looks like this one kind of had some overlap. And again, it looks like maybe this part too is a little bit different than some other cards I've seen. So just to let you know, still looks great. It doesn't even bother me when I look at the card from afar. It doesn't bother me one bit.
So we haven't looked at too many 1975 cards. Like this design. I don't know if we've commented on it before. I kind of dig the design. It's kind of minimalist and sort of fits the age. The photo I find very interesting too, along with sweet hair. Doesn't it look like Clark was just dumped by his girlfriend a little bit?
Yeah, he's pretty stoic.
Stolen.
Yeah. Just kind of thinking about life. So yeah, great looking card. So now I had to dig a little bit. I had to learn about Clark Gillies. Is it Gillies?
Gillies,
yes. Hall of Famer, 4-time Cup winner, 2-time NHL first All-Star team. Left winger from Josh, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And when he was once asked where his hometown is located, he famously joked, 6 feet from the Moose's ASS.
Arse.
Arse. Great joke. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Also, every time I read Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, I just think of Slapshot. I think where they're doing the fashion show from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Played 14 seasons in the NHL with 319 goals, 378 assists for 697 points, 958 games played. Here's my 2 little great stories I found about our boy Clark. Got his nickname Jethro, came from teammate Ed Westfall, based on the character Jethro Bodine in the TV series The Beverly Hillbillies. I'm guessing he might look like him. I have no clue. I think it's funny. Here's a great one. So Clark Gillies, I got Gillies right. When Gillies, per tradition, got to have the Stanley Cup with him for 24 hours after the Islanders won it for the first time in 1980, he let his dog, a German Shepherd, eat from it. Why not? He responded to critics. He's a good dog. You're dang right. He's a good dog, and he should get to eat out of the Stanley Cup. I love it.
Would you let your dogs eat out of the Stanley Cup?
For sure I would.
There you go.
All right. PSA 9 pop of this card is 16, which I tried to figure out in the beginning of this. Last sale was on February 17th of 2021 via eBay, verified in Terapeak for $797 US. Current bid is $550 US. I think we might be pushing towards record territory, but we'll see.
Yeah, bids have been strong so far.
Yeah.
For the couple cards we've reviewed. All right, the last vintage card we're going to talk about today in the current PWCC Weekly Auction is a 1958 Bobby Hull SGC 7. Another one, Troy, with the PWCC E exceptional IPO rating, putting in the top 15%.
Do you want me to read my definition again?
No. It's all right. I'm glad you did it, though, because we probably should have done that. So at an SGC 7, it's a pop 10. There's 6 graded higher. So, I mean, there's 2 SGC 7.5s and 4 SGC 8s. And you might be thinking, so what? There's probably a bunch of PSAs. Yeah. Well, there's 36 PSA 7s, 7 PSA 8s, and 2 PSA 9s. And then just for posterity's sake, I looked at Beckett. There's 2 BVG 7s and 1 BVG 8. So first thing that's kind of interesting about this card is between SGC, PSA, and Beckett, there's 0 gem mint grades. And only 16 cards graded higher between the 3 grading companies, too. So long story short, just like in your case, it's another way of saying this is a very high grade for this card. Very nice copy of it. And then, too, if you just look at the 7 grade and include that PWCC exceptional IPO rating, put in the top 15% of one of the 10 SGC 7 copies, it's probably one of the best 2 of the SGC graded ones too. And I know we've actually talked about this card before, and we've featured Bobby Hall a little bit, but because it's such an important card in the hobby and one of the most iconic rookie cards and it's such a high grade, kind of felt like we had to bring it up again. So I'm going to just do a really quick bio in case you missed the show. We talked about him before. The Golden Jet spent 23 years in the NHL, most notably for the Blackhawks. He also played for the Jets and then finished his career playing 9 games for the Hartford Whalers. In 1,063 games played, he scored 610 goals, added 560 assists for 1,170 points. 2-time Hart Trophy winner, 3-time Art Ross Trophy winner, won the Lady Byng in 1965, and won a lone Stanley Cup in 1961. He was the first NHL player to score more than 50 goals in one season. And like I said, the card, it's one of the most iconic NHL rookie cards. I always think he looks like a superhero in this card.
He looks like Superman.
Yeah, like Superman or like Mr. Incredible or something. Just that kind of square jaw that he has, and kind of has that all-American sort of 50s look. For the card itself, the centering is almost perfect from left to right. I feel like it's a little slightly off top to bottom. Corners and edges look really nice too. The biggest issue with the car is there's some surface scratches. Like if you kind of zoom in and you look at his jersey in particular, you can see kind of like the snow
like a
around that.
there.
Yeah. Overall, though, a very, very nice condition for the card. Troy, this exact copy sold in the PWCC Weekly in the middle of September for $10,500 US. All-time high for 1958 Topps Bobby Hall SGC 7 was again this exact card in the PWCC Premier. So this card, Troy, sold for $28,800 in January 2022, and just sold in September for $10,500.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, why I think a card like this is popular is you start to go up a grade. Remember, there's only 16 graded higher. So an SGC 8 and a PSA 8 have both sold for the same amount. It was back in 2021, $87,000.
Wow.
It's a big step up to go one grade higher, which makes sense because there's so many much more limited at that range. You got a current bid on this card, though?
$1,375 US.
There we go.
Bidding has not been strong on this one.
No.
I guess.
Yeah, wouldn't that be wild if somebody got it for $5,000-$6,000?
Oh my! Wow.
It sold for almost 30 at some point. Okay, we're gonna switch over to the modern side. So I have a little bit of an SP Authentics theme with the release of SP Authentic today. First card that I chose, Troy, is this 2016 SP Authentic Austin Matthews Flop.
We need a soundbite. I need a soundbite every time you hit flop. It's like flop.
Flop, flop. Future Watch Auto Patch. I think is a really nice option for an RPA if you're looking for a rookie patch auto for your favorite player.
Yep.
And this hobby is like super interesting at times, Troy. So in the same auction, I was looking yesterday, and maybe while we're talking here, you can kind of update on this, but in preparing my notes around this card, and I noticed this. So there's also a Matthews Future Watch Auto out of $999, of course. It's a PSA 10 Auto 10, and at the time, it had a bid of $3,200 US. Now this card, the Future Watch Auto Patch, so it's got a patch in addition to the auto, and instead of being out of $999, it's out of $100. So there's basically $900 less of the card. Was at $1,850 US, so about half.
Yeah, it's still $3,200 for the Future Watch Auto.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It just shows you, like, I think how important the Future Watch Auto is and how revered that is in the hobby. Because on face value, if you didn't know sort of the brand equity that the Future Watch Auto out of $999 has, this would make zero sense to you whatsoever. Yep. Again, so. And while that, I guess the net effect of that is it makes this a really interesting card in my eyes. Card itself is pretty awesome. Really like the design. It's very clean, like you'd expect with SP Authentic cards. There is a big condition issue I see, though, Troy. It's somehow the Matthews mustache is missing.
If I had this card, would I draw it in? Maybe.
I probably would. But it's not there. Is that like a factory error, do you think? And I also looked at the label. I don't see missing mustache on the
Yeah.
holder as a announced
Qualifier. It's a
error.
good qualifier. Missing
Yeah.
mustache.
So here we go. We got a super smooth upper lip for baby AM34 is rookie year. That kind of makes sense. Another kind of thing that I've had a hard time wrapping my head around when it comes to Matthews rookie patch autos at times is the just how like bland they can feel, given that the Maple Leafs jersey in a cool way and in a way I appreciate overall is two color,
Yep.
number one, and it's not very intricate either.
Yep.
It's kind of simple, like I said, in a good way, but that doesn't necessarily translate or correlate into really awesome patches. And I don't know, this patch I think is better in some ways. It's a little more interesting. It's got like a right angle in there. It's got both colors, so I think that that's nice. But yeah, just like um, I think a good representation. And on the like the patch thing and the Maple Leafs colors, it's like I wonder if that hurts his RPA market a little bit. Like if he had played for the Blackhawks and
Mhm.
had like 43 colors like they have in their logo in the patch. With that, I don't know. Do you think that that affects his kind of high
I
end
want
cards at all?
I don't know. I wonder if it's offset by just the amount of Toronto collectors and Canadian collectors might offset that. But I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have another color or have Chicago Blackhawk colors.
The card is a BGS 910, so that you got the 10 auto grade. The card is a 9 mint grade, which for a thicker card is a good grade. The lowest subgrade is the edges, which I believe are 8.5. And I'm sure that there's nothing like no major defect that kind of is distracting from the presentation of the card. So just all in all, it's a really really nice card. He's cooled a little bit since his back-to-back
Yep.
hat trick start for the season. So through 9 games, he has 7 goals, 3 assists for 10 points. Still just 26 years old though. And I found this interesting too. The Matthews hobby market has been definitely down in a pretty big
Mm-hmm.
way over the past year. So I looked up the Card Ladder Player Index and shows him a down Troy about 40% in the past year. Now, as a comparison to some other kind of in the other three guys in that hobby elite tier of current players, you have McDavid who's up 5% in the past year. Crosby and Ovechkin are down. Crosby's down 28%, Ovechkin 26%, but at down 40%, Matthews has taken the biggest hit in the
Yeah.
past year. Now, I think all that means if you're a huge Matthews fan and you believe he's going to rebound from his, I guess, quote unquote, down year last year where he had 40 goals, just a great time to pick up some of his cards and maybe get some cards that were out of your price range before. And then, like, I don't know, I just think this is a really nice option. If you were a Matthews fan, is this a card that you would look at closely?
Yes. No questions asked. I would want this card.
In the Card Ladder sales history, there's only 5 sales recorded for a BGS graded copy of a flop for 2016 Austin Matthews. I couldn't find any BGS 9s that sold, so I kind of found the grades right around it. An 8.5 was the most recent sale on October 22nd for $3,960 US. And then the last sale on a 9.5 was in February in the PWCC Weekly for $6,600 US. So I guess maybe slot
Yeah.
the value to somewhere in between. And if you're wondering, all-time high sale for any Matthews flop out of 100, $13,499 US from going back to the pandemic times, May
Pandemic
of
times.
2021. That was a PSA 10. You got a current bid?
$1,850 US.
All right, Troy, you got the next one.
I do.
Your modern pick.
I do for modern. I love it. 2006 Upper Deck Young Guns. Phil Kessel, baby. Number 204 PSA 10. Josh, we love Phil Kessel. Let's be honest. And I saw this card out there. I had to look at it because again, I'm trying to be different. I'm trying to stay away from the McDavids of the world. We like to talk about McDavid a lot because he's hugely important to the hobby, has lots of value. But why not go outside of that and look at look at the legend that is Phil Kessel? All right, Josh.
Love it.
It's a PSA 10. Looks really nice. I actually really like the picture on this card. It's just a nice action shot of Phil skating, looking at the puck. I love his stick. I don't know if that's the design or he actually did tape it all those times that players used to do that, but it's just a great, great picture of Phil Kessel. The corners, edges of this card, they all, I mean, obviously it's a PSA 10, but you zoom in and they all look pretty decent. Looks probably a PSA 10. Looks really nice.
How many hot dogs a day was he pounding during his rookie year, do you think?
I bet Phil Kessel, I don't know. Love the hot dogs. Just he's always forever going to be
Associated with
that for eating hot dogs.
Does he have like a big Oscar Mayer endorsement or Johnsonville Brat or something like that?
He should have. He should have drove the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile around. That would have been hilarious.
If he would try to eat his own car.
Quick snapshot of Kessel's career. And this is where, everyone jokes about him. The man can play some hockey. 413 goals, 579 assists for 992 points in 1,286 games played. Pretty good numbers. 3-time Cup winner, 1-time Bill Masterton winner. Also, and this is something people kind of forget, Kessel overcame testicular cancer during his career. He also holds the current Ironman record in the NHL for most consecutive games played. Josh, is he a Hall of Famer?
Probably.
I lean that way too. I don't know. I think he's had a great career for who he is, and he's got the Ironman record and overcame a battle. That's kind of what led to the Bill Masterton win. And I don't know. I just think Phil Kessel is a great hockey player. I love him. He's a natural goal scorer. He's not the most athletic build for a hockey player that you've seen, but the guy can play hockey. Yeah, for sure. He's one of those guys that everyone thinks is just like completely out of shape, but he can play hockey and he can shoot a puck. And obviously you can't be that out of shape to play in the NHL, but Phil Kessel is one of those enigmas.
Got a sister who's pretty good at hockey too.
Yeah, Amanda Kessel played for the Gophers. So remember, Josh, at the beginning, I said I wanted to get away from Connor McDavid. Well, we all know from previous episodes that Phil Kessel is a better player than Connor McDavid. It's been proven by a Reddit post. It was that breakdown that was posted on Reddit. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm showing it right now on why Phil Kessel was a better player than McDavid. You can't argue with any of the facts on this.
They're facts.
The facts. You can't argue with them. I'm going to give you my favorite 3 from this list that are on here. Phil Kessel won a cup without even playing with the Knights. McDavid can't win a cup even while playing. Phil Kessel was the last pick in the 2011 All-Star draft. McDavid has never been drafted in an All-Star draft. Don't mind that it probably wasn't around since McDavid entered the league, but it's still a fact. Kessel ate hot dogs out of the Stanley Cup. McDavid has never even sniffed the Lord Stanley. So I don't know what you want. Proof right here. Kessel's better than McDavid. That's why I chose him. And it's fantastic. I love Phil Kessel. A great card. PSA 10 pop of this card is 202. The gem rate is 68%. Last sale on October 26th of this year via ebay.ca, verified at Terapeak for $100.49 US. Current bid, $36 US. I am going to be watching this card intently during the auction.
I'm surprised it's only a $100 card.
Yep.
I'm your fan base in that.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get this card if it stays reasonable.
Okay, the last card we want to feature in this week's PWCC Weekly Auction is a 2021 SP Authentic Cole Caulfield Future Watch Auto at a $9.99 SGC 10. So again, in honor of SP Authentic Release Week, had to pick another SP Authentic card and went with the Cole Caulfield Future Watch Auto. So here's my reasons. It's a cool, important card, no doubt. The Caulfield hobby market has been like the most fascinating really thing over the past 6 months, really since he got hurt. And then I'm kind of curious too, Troy, about maybe the potential of like an SGC discount on this card. And because we know they're good and tough graders and that they've got a huge history in grading very, very high-end vintage cards. Haven't done so well on the ultra-modern side. Typically a big gap between them and PSA. And so if you have an opportunity like this where you can really have faith and trust in the grade, but maybe wonder if just because the perception in secondary markets for ultra modern this could be one that maybe you'll get at a discount. So first, let's cover the Caulfield market. Mentioned it being kind of nutty since he was injured last January. If you were a listener at the time, remember what happened. Both of us were very firmly in the camp that his values are going to tank. And if you believe in Caulfield, you're going to have just an amazing time buying cheap Caulfield cards all throughout the spring and
Yes,
summer.
everyone else thought that too.
Yeah, and of course, none of that happened. And we could not have been more wrong. So it just goes to prove that just when you think you have this hobby figured out, even in a small degree, Troy, nope, you get reminded right away that you hardly know anything. And then when you kind of look back, well, why did it sort of buck that trend? In hindsight being 2020, there was, number one, a lot of 2021 releases that came out last spring and summer where he is definitely the marquee rookie in that hobby class. Then you have alternating with that, typically 2022 releases where the rookie class is not as exciting and they don't have a Cole Caulfield type. And so I think that kind of helped propel his hobby values a little bit over the summer. And so if you combine his goals pace at the time of his injury, which I think he was tracking like in the upper 40s, like 46 goals or whatever, the 2021 releases that come out, the mediocre 2022 class, it kind of all makes sense. Now, getting in the card, one of the reasons why I love Future Watch Autos, and talked about this with Tony, is I love the minimalist aesthetic or that museum look, and basically a lot of white and open space for the auto, which is, of course, a hallmark of the Future Watch Auto design. And this card certainly fits that bill. I really like the auto on this card. I don't know if you noticed this too, Troy, but I like how big he signed it. On a lot of like his cards, it just seems like it's like a tiny CC. This just feels more spelled out to me and a little more substantive. And so I really like this copy of the card. Now, Troy, he's hunched over.
Yes,
I know that you are a huge Cole Caulfield hunched over critic. Is this a hunch you can live with, or
I can live with it because it's from the front, it's not the side, so it doesn't look too much like Quasimodo. But I just laugh because he's always hunched over. Do you think this card too, by having to sign 999 copies, very big auto, is this what drove him to stop signing and send his autographs back in late and all that stuff?
All I can tell you is much respect to these guys. At about auto 200, I'd be like swearing.
Oh, auto
and
like 20
I'd
for
be
me.
calling
I'd
my
be
agent and throwing his fist.
I'm like, ow.
Yeah. That's why I give a guy like if we could ever have, I just want to like maybe speak this into existence and visualize. If we ever had Wayne Gretzky on our show, if I got to ask him one question, I'd want us to ask him, how many times do you think you've signed your name for people? Like, legitimately, do you think he's signed his name 300,000 times? Would that be?
I'd have to sit there and think about it. That's like that should be an interview question.
Yeah. So Wayne, I know you're listening. Come on the show. All right. So kind of went through the card is a really nice card. It's got that SGC 10 grade. He's off to a great start to the season, so that's not going to hurt his market. Through 9 games played, he's got 4 goals, 6 assists for 10 points. And then, again, really what's the biggest kind of interesting factor to me on this card was that potential of that SGC discount. So wanted to kind of look into that. And only 3 of his 999 Future Watch autos have been graded by SGC. There's 1 9 and 2 10s. So this would be one of those 10s. Couldn't find any sales on any of them, so that doesn't help. But what we can compare it to is a PSA 10 that last sold on August 14th for $1,800 US. So I don't know. I think if you could maybe get this card for $300-400 less, maybe $500 less because of that discount, that might be a kind of a steal. But now because I said it, I'm sure I'll look stupid in the end. Yeah. Still going to bet on the SGC discount, though. What do you think? Do you think that that's a real thing still?
Oh, I think so.
You got a current bid?
$525 US. All
right, so to bid on these cards and all the other fantastic hockey cards in the current PWCC Weekly Auction, be sure to head to pwccmarketplace.com. Okay, Troy, we're at the end of the show. Time for personal pickups.
right.
We'll start with you.
Big Fat Zero. I am war chesting. I'm now starting my war chest. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't have anything. I'm saving up for the expo. Let's go.
Let's go. You're gonna buy all the wax at the
All the
expo.
wax. I think I have a Discord message about that. Someone about getting a cart or something to wheel around all the wax.
So I made a huge trade this week on my card post. Love that platform. Said a million times. I don't know if it was smart. Maybe not. I'm sure I'll hear from people. Kind of taking a bit of a gamble on it. So I traded away much more of a sure thing. I had pulled out of 2022-23 trilogy, a Connor McDavid patch auto out of 15, 3-color game use patch. For this that you're seeing on screen, if you're watching on YouTube, a 2021-22 OPG Cole Caulfield marquee rookie platinum preview, seismic gold out of 25 with a tag 10 grade. Super cool card. I love OPG and I love platinum, and so I love platinum previews. Now, it doesn't have the same panache as a regular OPG platinum, and it's actually different images too. If people are wondering about the platinum previews, it's a hunched over. It's Troy's least favorite.
It's Quasimodo.
But you had pulled one of these cards and sold it right away.
Yeah, the red one out of
Was
it? I can't remember. It was a red one though.
And actually traded with Keith from Just Hockey Cards. He's got a YouTube channel. He does some awesome box opening videos. He's very, very creative. He has the best thumbnails ever. And so definitely go check out Just Hockey Cards on YouTube and Keith's page. And I know you'll subscribe to him. I know you really like his videos. And I just, this has nothing to do with Keith because this is more my decision making. I just don't know if I made the right choice. I like this card better. And here's kind of the realization I had on it is that because you look at the values of these, even the size of gold platinum previews, they're not great. Now, I don't know exactly what the value on the McDavid is arguable to, but I never loved that McDavid, as weird as that sounds. And I love seismic gold. I love OPG. I'm a believer in Caulfield. I've never had a tag graded card before, so I'm kind of cool. I spent an hour looking at what do they call the dig report or something like that for now that I know that it's mine, and was really fascinated by it. So did the trade. Not sure. I think I don't plan to sell it, so it's fine. I'm sure people will think I'm dumb. But what else? That's every episode we put out. And then I'll just say again too, I say they are a sponsor, of course, but trading on my card post is ridiculously easy. Their platform, I think a year from now will be enormous because of how simple and easy and fun it is to use it and to make trades like this. And you can get some really big cards like this one on their platform. So I definitely recommend people checking it out. Again, if you use the code GONGSHOW30, you can save 30% off of your first 3 months. So even though I know you don't love the picture in general, do you I don't know, would you have done the trade or no?
I can't remember what your McDavid looked like, but I probably wouldn't have. I don't think. I'd probably just keep the McDavid. Well, I don't do that. I would just keep it in my it would be in my case because it'd be the only McDavid auto I had. Where you're better at getting stuff, and like you said, if you didn't like it, why not get something you do like?
This is a rookie, and that wasn't a rookie. So I know it's it just probably means it's a really good trade because I have tons of regrets on getting rid of my McDavid, but I'm really happy to get this card too. So maybe I just kind of decided for myself that it makes it a good trade. Well, that's our show for this Thursday. If you like the episode, please leave a rating review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show and you want to support us and you want to make Troy even a bigger celebrity than he already is, if that's possible, we're going to have to hire security for you at the expo, Troy.
I highly doubt that.
Okay. Please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. The link is in the show description if you're listening to us on a podcast app, or in the YouTube description if you're watching us there. You go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the Become a Patron link. You go to Patreon's website, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show, or on our Instagram and TikTok profile, there's a link tree with a link to our Patreon there. We're on social media. We've already begged for YouTube subscribers. So, hey, if you're going to go in once and beg, you might as well do it twice.
Keep begging.
So here's plea number 2. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. And Troy, The Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures LLC. Have an awesome weekend. Can't wait to chat with you on Monday, where it's all about the expo and previewing the probably largest event of the year in hockey.
Mm-hmm.